nobody can listen to us. I'm also starting the Twitch stream now, but it's not picking me up, so that's good. That's a good start. Oh, wait, no, maybe it is. Cool. I'm gonna throw some audio behind us.
Is this the right channel?
It is.
Oh gosh.
Okay, so oh, that didn't work like I wanted it to at all. There we go. All right, great, perfect. So that's working. Good. I don't know why it's so loud though. Come on. There we go. Okay. Xander, if you're listening, could you go check the Twitch channel and confirm that it is in fact working?
Yeah, I'll look it up. Is this now my opportunity to talk about that Waluigi game I sent you?
No,
now,
it's not. I will mute you.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, cool. And the audio sounds okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And the audio sounds okay?
I hear myself.
Oh.
I hear you. Is
Oh.
there anyone else that needs it?
Yeah, I heard.
Do you hear me? Do you hear
Yep.
me?
Oh.
Anyone-
Sweet.
Nice. All right, so I have the chat up so I can see that. So we're going to get started in a few minutes. I need to go finish all of the marketing for this. So let me go to NWR and edit the TSI and say it's live now.
All right. Yeah, I got some DoorDash on the way, so I got to go down and pick that up.
That's fine. I was very close to ordering food, but I didn't finish my workout in time. I'm like, it'll get here mid-show.
Yeah, that's what can I do?
Yeah,
It's a very bang bang bang. Watch the draft, see the Falcons pick, come on to the show, order something. It's just a lot's going on right now.
it's true. All right, let me tweet this out. I specified 9:30 for both of our benefits to be clear.
I saw that. I had to laugh. I was gonna respond to you and say, like, when you just said 9:30, I forget where you said that. But you just said 9:30 one place, and I was just like, I was gonna respond 9:30 Pacific. You got it, buddy.
Oh my god. All right.
Just gonna mess with you. Right, I can no longer hear you, James, or
I'm not
can't hear
talking.
anybody. Okay, all right. I was just making sure. Things got really quiet there, and I'm like, I don't know if audio cut out or not.
All right. So I'm trying to do all the social media stuff too. Okay. So
Need help?
the Twitter account's done. That's done. I'm gonna do it myself. Great. All right. And I'm gonna go ahead and say, oh shit. I forgot. I left out an important detail. Now, why do you want to do this stupid thing? All right. Okay. I should have put this in the first tweet, but I'm an idiot, so that's fine. All right, that's that. Okay. I did go with "Let Me Talk to You" as the pitch for this one, delivered in an LA Night style voice. That's kind of where my head's at. All right, there we go. So that's good. All right, so I've sent that out. All right, I'm being prompted not to leave you alone with your thoughts. I understand. That's very scary. So
James, you went quiet.
no, I know. I'm typing it. I can't type and talk at the same time.
Sorry, when you say so,
Yeah.
Well,
somebody asked a question, and I'm like, oh shit. Okay, hold on, let me deal with that. All right, I need to set the title for this one. Okay, cool. I've set the title. All right, so the Twitch is good. The Discord appears to be working. Can you hear like the faint music on the Twitch stream? If I unmute the Twitch stream, I will hear the music in echo, and that will be bad because then everyone
Yeah.
else will. Okay, you can. Good.
I turned it on briefly and I could hear it.
Okay, good. That is
I could hear it.
that is Breath of the Wild ambient music. I figured it was appropriate.
Why?
Shut it off.
No, I'll mute you. I'll mute everybody. I'm a goddamn dictator. I will mute everyone.
I'm a
I feel like
god
you could just
here.
hire someone to like poke a keyboard every like 5 minutes or so, and that would work.
I will do whatever it takes. All right. So if you want to ask a question, just at me. You could do it in the chat attached to the RFN Ask James for Invite channel. There's a chat attached to that. I will then bring you in when it is your turn. We will let you. Oh, you know what? Hold on. We should probably be recording this part, shouldn't we? All right. So give me 1 second. Let me get Craig to do his job. I'm a professional. I do things professionally. That is the way that we do things here. Did you know that this show takes planning? I'm serious. All right. Join.
I don't know if that's true or not.
It does. That's the scary part. All right. So Craig is joining.
Now recording.
Thank you, Craig. All right, John, I need you to fire up Audacity for me.
Got it already up.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm doing the same. It is hiding behind a window somewhere, which is very cool, and it is using the wrong microphone, which is also very cool. Okay, so it is now recording, and it looks good.
I am also recording.
Excellent. All right, John, we're going to do a clap, and then we're going to get rolling. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So, question. Did you clap?
I did. I didn't hear your clap either.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Discord. Thanks for taking away something that's actually vitally important to the show functioning in a meaningful way. That's neat. Love that. Our clap got noise canceled. Great. This is definitely not an ominous sign. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and kill the music. Good night, music. Thank you for filling the void while we weren't talking. This is where No, we're not gonna have any of that shit. All right, who was it?
It wasn't me.
That was me. I'm sorry. I didn't realize what I was doing.
Not having
Sure.
We're not having any of that shit.
No, I was prompted by someone in the chat to touch it, and I'm like, "What does that do?"
The only people allowed to ruin the show are John and I.
But now, I mean, what do I touch? I don't know. What do I?
Just sit on your hands. Just sit on your hands. Everything's fine. Everything is fine.
All right.
All right.
Oh, the soundboard? Well,
Oh no.
okay. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Oh Christ.
Damn, there's some good stuff in there.
We're never using Discord again. Hello and welcome to Radio Free Nintendo. I am James Jones, and I'm joined today by Mr. John Lindemann. John, hello.
It is great to be here, James.
It is great to have you, John. We're not joined by Greg. He's watching a draft. We're not joined by Guillaume. He's still on a spirit quest. And so it is with great opportunity that I looked out and said, what can we do that Greg and Guillaume would never approve of? Could we do a business segment? Well, Greg would be fine with the business segment. Could we do a segment where we just talk about movies for no good reason? Have you listened to the show? Could we have a rambling... Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, since the NFL draft is happening as we speak right now, I think we're looking for the least value for a pick.
Yeah,
right
I mean, we are max minning our value here. Yes, we decided that the answer, and by we I mean I, texting John, going, "Hey John, I got a dumb idea. Let's do this." Is that we're going to do a call-in show? That's right. You are listening to Talk RFN with 3 exclamation points. Welcome to Talk RFN. I'm James Jones. Welcome. I'm joined by John. It's drive time in the morning. You're listening to Talk RFN with James and John. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So, callers, listen up. This is how it's going to roll. You're going to call in. If you've never listened to a radio show before, good for you, but this is how it's going to work. You're going to call in. You're going to ask a question. I'm going to then disconnect you because this is our time. And we're going to answer your question. You can listen off air. You can listen on the NWR Discord in the RFN chat. You can message me there if you'd like to ask a question. You can also listen over at twitch.tv/NintendoWorldReport.com. That's twitch.tv/NintendoWorldReport.com. I got to go quick because I got to get this in before an ad break because this is talk radio. So we're going to start this out right now. I am looking to see who has asked the first question. We do not have anybody who has asked for a question. So, John, you ready? Are you ready to go through some questions?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So,
Always.
message me right now on the Discord, and I will bring you in to ask your question. This is going well. I'm glad I gave y'all 2 days to think of questions. Great. This is perfect. I love this.
So we have no questions?
This is a strong start. This is a strong showing.
I mean, are people at least typing?
They're
in the
in
Discord?
they're in the chat. They are hanging out there. This is I thought people having the opportunity to ask me without knowing what they're going to ask would be, an opportunity. Oh, wait, we might have our first question.
That's going to be a terrible question too.
Oh,
because now
go.
people kind of feel guilty and they're just going to ask dumb shit.
Okay. I'm sorry. Y'all didn't at me. My mistake. I didn't realize that y'all were in there talking. So, yes, we are in the RFN Ask James for invite. Right now, you are muted. I can unmute you. So, let's go. All right. So, we've got people coming out. So I'm going to let GX in first because he helped me un-F the stream yesterday. GX, I believe you already have the role that will let you talk. So if you would go...
Hey.
There we go. GX, welcome to the call.
Hey, I'm GX, longtime listener, first-time caller, and I had a question for the business boys.
Go ahead, caller.
In this era of content creators branching out and publishing games, getting onto Nintendo Indie Worlds and making an ass of themselves, I have 3 simple questions. Who will develop RFN the game? What will it be? And when will it be releasing?
Ooh. RFN the game. John, we have to talk about this. Are we ready to reveal our business plans for RFN the game? I guess we have to.
I mean, let's just say we've been talking to Valhalla.
And they've not been listening, but we've been talking at them.
I mean...
I think they're gone.
The thing is, they have to understand that the criteria, there's always like an RFP process, a proposal sort of process that we go through with any developer that we might partner with. So part of that, I think one of those key questions, James, I think you'll agree with me, is have you ever made a video that looks like a terrorist video?
Specifically an ISIS video.
Yes, specifically ISIS. I mean, I don't want to limit it to just ISIS. That's the thing. I don't want to direct them in any way. So that's part of the thing too. It's like which terrorist group they choose.
Give them the opportunity to explore the space. Is what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's a valid question. Now, I think the problem we have is right now there's been a big disagreement on what the format of the game should be. I have long advocated that this should be a business simulation / text adventure, where you are responsible for running the business of RFN, which has, and I am not joking, at this point in its history made approximately $4,000. And you're wondering where that money came from. That is the money y'all gave us to go to Colorado. That is the only time RFN has ever turned around and made any money. That's it. That's the whole history of the money-making scheme. You know what episode that was, John? Do you remember?
That was 400.
That was 400. That was 420 episodes ago. So that's the only time we've ever made money. So this is the challenge of the RFN business experience. It is a text-based VCR selling adventure. We have just replaced the word VCR with podcast ad reads. Nobody seems to have bought into that vision. John, I know you have a different vision for the game. I don't entirely understand it. Would you explain it to me?
Well, it's the thing. I mean, when I think about RFN, we are in the position of sharing our thoughts and
whether you like it or not.
Yeah, sharing our thoughts with the masses. So I think that the RFN. I think the I think the RFN game should be um, some sort of a PAX East panel game.
Oh God.
Yeah. I think, I mean, for those who maybe, who am I kidding? Nobody here is new to this podcast. Everybody's probably been listening for 20 years, which is actually longer than this podcast has been running, but
But not as long
you
as
know
you
what I'm
think.
saying. Not as, yes, not as much of a, not as much hyperbole as you would think. I think it could be potentially a sort of River City Ransom kind of game in which we are fighting through the streets of Boston, where
With a
with
box of
grapple
T-shirts.
claws, with a box of T-shirts and grapple claws.
Yeah.
With the goal of making it to our RFN panel.
I see the vision mostly
That's not
because
bad, right?
mostly because I live the vision.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You have to. I look at, like, you have to create what you know.
That's true.
And yeah,
there's nothing like
we
oh
we know the mean streets of Boston. We know about picking up T-shirts from shady areas.
there's nothing like walking
you know,
into a factory, seeing no one, wandering around, and getting a text message from John that simply reads, "Are you dead?" So that was cool. Enjoyed that. Had a great time. PAX is always awesome.
mhm.
I think the long-term viability of the RFN game, though, is really about games as a service. And by that, I mean a service to us. So one thing I've been thinking about is, what if there was a game where there are waifus, and presumably we are the waifus. I regret to inform you. So we will hire the best scab artists to draw us for a very pittance of money as attractive anime women, as we are all on the inside are. And then we will make ourselves in the game available to you, but you can get better pulls getting like a legendary James, which is what you're after, obviously. Legendary summer vacation James. By doing daily menial tasks. And so what are those menial tasks? Why, you'll be assigned a 5-minute section of RFN to edit. And once you edit that 5-minute section and submit it back to the master edit, you'll be awarded one extra pull at approximately 0.8% better chance of pulling a legendary. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but you have to understand that a legendary pull is normally 0.02%. This is a huge benefit. So this gets games as a service by making you service the needs of this podcast.
Yeah, it's less service and more serve us.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So who's making this game? Well, you said we talked to Valhalla, but they are insistent that we allow them to have a saber in the video, and we're very concerned they're going to use it. So right now, they're not really in the running. We've considered hiring Grasshopper. We showed them some of the skeb drawings of our waifu personas, and they were very interested, but maybe too interested, so we're not entirely comfortable with their vision. We were going to be talking. Hold on. I almost dropped my laptop. That's not great. We were going to be talking to Yuji Naka, but he's become indisposed at the moment. So
Yeah.
that's a challenge. I worry that
Tough guy to get a hold of.
Yeah, I worry he might be living the ethos of what we do a little too hard. So he might be taking our advice a little too seriously. We are not professionals. So that's our vision. Our vision is we're going to make a game where you beat up people in Boston, have the opportunity to see us in our Easter attire, and edit the podcast for us. I think this is a winning game. I think this is a 10 out of 10. I think we can charge you to get better pulls from us, and that might even make it. I don't want to get crazy. That might make it an 11 out of 10. I'm just saying. Like, if I'm able to retire off this game, that's got to be worth at least a point to every reviewer. So, this is probably an 11 out of 10. It's coming out sometime in 2025. It is going to be available on Windows phones, and that's it right now. But we've got plans for a port to the Palm OS for tablets, and probably gonna release it on the Amico. I think we've really cornered our market on this one. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we've just juiced the sales for Amico about 4,000%.
It's true. You could probably still buy an Amico right now if you wanted to. You'll never get it. It's not real.
Mhm.
It was never real. It was a scam. But our next caller, Tommy Tallarico. Oh, he hung up on us. Damn. Well, that sucks. All right. Well, next caller.
Yeah, bad. That the car phone in his yellow Lamborghini has really bad reception.
Because he shot it on a rocket. W
true.
stands for waifu's great. All right, I am going to add our next caller. So, let me go ahead and grant the roll. So then I get the roll and I say, all right, next caller, you should be able to unmute yourself now. If not, you might have to leave the channel and come back. This could have been smoother, but this is the appropriate RFN experience. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, this is pretty authentic.
Yeah, this is what the show feels like normally. Hold on. There's somebody in the chat I need to make sure is properly Oh, hello, caller.
Hi, I'm a longtime listener, first time caller. And I was just wondering, I wanted to jump on the other idea of I've been interested in the intersection of literature and games. And I was noticing that, games draw a lot from mythology, but more and more works are coming off of copyright. And I was wondering, what genre do you feel is really ripe for just digging deep into the things coming off copyright right now? And why is it I was really thinking that what I'd most like to see is James Joyce Ulysses Cross Rabbids walking sim. So I'll answer off the air.
Oh, thank you. Excellent question, caller. That's a dark example that you've put out there that I'm not sure I'm comfortable dealing with. So, John, I'm going to give you some examples of some books that are coming off of entering the public domain in 2023. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, Hardy Boys #1, The Tower of Treasure. Hardy Boys #2, The House on the Cliff. Hardy Boys #3, The Secret of the Old Mill. The Bridge of San Luis Rey by Thornton Wilder. Men Without Women by Ernest Hemingway. Aspects of the Novel by E.M. Forrester. The Color Out of Space by H.P. Lovecraft. Twilight Sleep by Edith Wharton. Mosquitoes by William Faulkner. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, but Gentlemen Marry Brunettes by Anita Loos. There are also some films, and I think it's important that we contemplate what you could do with films here. Some of these films I'm going to not mention. But Chicago from 1927, The Jazz Singer, When Boys Leave Home, Wings, and Tarzan and the Golden Lion are also all coming into public domain. So from a book standpoint, there's some opportunities here. But the thing about books that are like prolonged series is that it's tricky to deal. So this is the Sherlock Holmes problem. So Sherlock Holmes has had books in the public domain for a bit, but the whole series is not. And so because it's based on the date of publication. So what happens is attributes of the character that are first unveiled come into public domain based on the book they are unveiled in. So Sherlock Holmes was a pain in the butt because the character, the name, was available. You could do whatever you wanted with the name. But attributes of the character that came out of later pieces of literature were not available. And the problem is Sherlock Holmes in the first few books is a really dry and flat character. So there wasn't a ton you could do with it. However, there is a book that famously is coming into the Big Four from Agatha Christie, of course. Some more Sherlock Holmes books are coming out, which will help because I think these are some of the ones where they start actually like laying out the character. There's a few James Joyce books, but A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh is famously coming out of control, into public domain here. And so there's already a movie coming out where Winnie the Pooh is reimagined as a horror character. I think it might actually already be out. And to me, that probably feels like a really good opportunity to play with the Winnie the Pooh character. Like the horror thing, that just feels like it's meant for shock. So, John, if we were per se hired to do a Winnie the Pooh's video game outside the confines of Disney, like we were able to release this and tell the mouse where to stick it, what do you think we could do in a game? And here's the thing: I don't want this to be a game for kids. I want this to be a game for all audiences.
Leisure Suit Winnie, is that off the table?
I mean, it's not off the table, but I'm interested to hear what you're planning to put on the table. So,
you mean game? You talking about game type?
So you, this is. Are you going to keep the ethos of the Leisure Suit Larry experience here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking either you could go that direction. The thing is, the problem I have with the Leisure Suit Larry games is they're very much out of style by this point.
The problem?
That's true. Point taken.
They're very much like early '90s thing because I mean, one, they're point and clicks, but two, they're like sex humor is like, look, he's got a white sticky liquid. I wonder what that is. But also, there's a whole bunch of like, wow, that pixelated character has large breasts, and Larry can't resist. But also, he's terrible with women. So it's kind of like a weird era of just kind of well, I mean, because it's the audience they were pitching to ultimately.
Yeah, and that era of like sophomoric frat humor, it's kind of moved to different areas, right? Like Duke Nukem Forever, it's been done. It's sort of like evolved into Jackass and stuff like that, and so I think it's kind of that type of humor. Doing that in video games is kind of passé. It's already been done.
Yeah, and it's not exactly like the most ideal here to just make a game where the entire premise is like, I am going to slay every woman I see. Like
exactly.
That's a little bit out of vogue, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking for Winnie the Pooh, I'm thinking an open world game, but I think centered around the fact that Winnie the Pooh, I feel like kind of the horror angle, that's kind of the easy way out. I think you can give a more nuanced presentation of Winnie the Pooh, in which he is actually a drug kingpin who has the 1,000 Acre Wood is actually like poppy fields. So he is trying to hold off challengers to the throne in the 1,000 Acre Wood. Open world, vehicular combat, you name it. His right hand man is Eeyore, that's his enforcer.
Nice.
So yeah, I think you could do a lot with that.
Is he like a street capo and Christopher Robin is the boss?
No, I mean, no, Christopher Robin, I would see Christopher Robin as kind of his conscience, sort of he's the one that took the straight and narrow. They both came from a hard scrabble background, but he was the one that kind of went to law school. He's almost sort of in The Godfather, kind of a Michael Corleone kind of thing, but before Michael Corleone actually became the Godfather, where he was seen as he's the one that kind of went straight, and they wanted something better for him, right? So, whereas Winnie the Pooh is the one that he really embraced that sort of street life and that criminal, the building of the criminal enterprise in the 1,000 Acre Wood.
So is this like Jennifer, what's her name, Melfi, the psychologist in Sopranos? So like Tony's in there just like spilling his heart, and she's just sitting there going like, okay. Wait, hold on. Matt in the chat notes that John, this totally just is describing a movie that just got announced today. An R-rated live-action Christopher Robin series is in the works. It features Christopher Robin navigating his quarter-life crisis with animals who live beyond the drug-induced portal outside the derelict apartment complex. So we might be dealing with overly caller notes that she would play so much of Bridge of St. Louis Ray. uh, so another thing though, we have cinema, and there's a movie that I actually have a great deal of affection for. It's a silent film because it's 1927.
Mhm.
Metropolis is entering the public domain, and if you've never seen
Okay.
Metropolis, you should. Now it is
I haven't.
it is a silent film, and it is very
Mhm.
long for a silent film. Most silent films are pretty short. I think it's but depending on what cut you're viewing, I think there's a cut right that the most recent one's like 150 minutes. It's pretty long.
Yeah, that is long.
It's not super long, but it's certainly it's like 2 hours and 30 minutes. What do people have to do? It was
I
Germany.
mean, for a movie from that time period, that's very long.
That's extremely long.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty close to the original cut. And then there were all kinds of cuts. There were cuts that dropped it all the way down to like 80 minutes. But the film is now in the public domain here. And if you've never seen it, it's basically some wealthy industrialists are running this hyper technologically advanced city. Underground, there's essentially a labyrinth of where the workers are plotting their discontent. Somebody creates a robot with the intention of making it look like their dead lover. Somebody tries to use the robot to overthrow everybody. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. The city gets destroyed. It's wild. It's also incredibly impressive for 1927. But the thing is, what if you made a SimCity style game in Metropolis? But your goal, because you're the industrialist, I mean, you're building the city. Nobody gives a shit what the workers are doing. Like nobody cares about the workers. You're building Metropolis. You're creating robots that will one day replace the need for people. You're doing all of it. And so you just need to make sure that the workers are sufficiently cared for and or sufficiently suppressed. And that's it. Like, ideally, you go for the first. But sometimes, in the interest of progress, you got to go for the second. And look, their children will understand when they look up and they see that, they see the glistening skyline that we've built for them from their underground caves. They will understand why the sacrifice of their parents, quite literally, was necessary. Because I can't have them out there like talking about someone who's going to bring the working class and the rulers together, because I don't want to be with the working class. So your objective is to make sure that you don't end up with the working class while building the city, of course, to make yourself fabulously wealthy. I think that that would really get to Fritz Lang's core message of this movie, which is you got to make sure that you keep yourself fabulously wealthy. At least that's the message I took from the film. So maybe I'm misinterpreting. I'm not sure, but I think that's the plan. I think that's the plan for this game. There are a number of Conan Doyle Metropolis farming sim. There we go. It's a pretty dire film, all things considered. All right, so we are now ready for our next caller. If you want to ask me a question or John a question, go ahead and note in the chat right now that you would like to ask a question. I will unmute you. You will probably have to leave the chat and come back in, and then you can ask your question. So right now, who is our next caller? Go ahead and claim it in the chat. If you've already claimed it, go ahead and remind me, because I can't tell from all the other stuff in the chat. While we are waiting for our next caller, John, emails. We love emails. And
we do have a fondness for them.
Emails is how you can normally get in touch with us. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity that we will almost certainly do again at some point in the future. But for right now, it is once in a lifetime. So I'm going to actually do something that I promised. I promised you all emails. I said we would do 3 emails this week, and I lied to you. But now I'm going to unlie to you. We're waiting for our next caller. I'm going to find an email from the inbox. John, can you keep an eye on the chat and see if somebody asks to join the call?
Sure.
That's too long an email for this format. So let's go find something that's quicker. Something quick. Something that's got speed. This is from Sin, who writes, "Hiya, lads. As someone who was primarily a handheld user growing up, I found that certain habits can be hard to break. Namely, I play the majority of games muted when portable, or I'm dropping the music volume significantly in the sound mixer. What games do you feel are elevated by the soundtrack to the degree that you feel the game would be different without them?" I'm going to read everything in this voice. So
I think some of the Final Fantasy games would fall into that category.
Yeah, I can see that because the music is so key to what they are and to how they feel. Obviously, like rhythm and games that are music games. Yes, obviously, like playing Rhythm Heaven on mute is one, not possible at the highest difficulty, but two, it completely undermines the raison d'etre of the game. I would say that the games from Ace Attorney / Ghost Trick are good examples because the music tells you how you're supposed to feel. If you're supposed to feel pensive, a song that's literally called Pensive will start playing. And this applies to Ghost Trick as well. And there's some absolute bangers on those soundtracks. Like in fact, y'all can hear it. I have the ability to make you hear it. Well, not if you're in the Discord call. Never mind. But yeah, there's some music in those games that really drive the emotion of the story because it's hard to tell emotion with just some cartoon characters, and so that's kind of how they fuel them. I think there's actually a good case to be made that some of the Xenoblade games, including X.
That's the thing, I thought about that too. I wonder, some of those tracks, you wind up muting them just because you're like, all right, I'm really tired of hearing this particular vocal sample for the 50,000th time. So, but the music is extremely notable in those games and does add to the experience, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse.
Cool. We answered an email. I promised 3 emails this week. Now we've done 2, or we've done 1. So that's promise. That's promise. I didn't even think I was going to succeed at that. I got a message from MASB. We're going to do that. But Matt, could you go ahead and unmute yourself so that you can ask your question?
Yeah. Hello, gentlemen. Good evening.
Hello.
Good to be with you here tonight.
Hello, caller.
So, as businessmen yourself, I'm sure you understand the value of brand synergy. So, I was figuring the critical question here is, when will a member of Radio Free Nintendo be appearing on Mario Party Monthly?
So John will be appearing on Mario Party Monthly next week.
Okay.
He doesn't know that yet.
Mm-hmm.
So John,
that sounds good.
John, you'll be playing Mario Party next week. I regret to inform you.
Fantastic.
I think the challenge for us with Mario Party, I mean, Greg gets to dodge it because he is in a time zone where it's just not viable.
Yeah.
Guillaume has, lives with someone else, so I would not subject Karen to that because Karen doesn't deserve that. Guillaume.
Oh, that's never stopped us. Alex's family has to listen to him.
Yeah, I know, but I unfortunately know Karen, so I have to live with the recriminations of my actions. John and I are effectively left as the candidates, and Guillaume is the editor, so I have to be careful how much I piss him off. Like I have to maintain like a background radiation of like I've annoyed Guillaume. So if he gets too comfortable and then I spike it, he might just go like, "Whoa, what the hell was that?" So I have to kind of like keep him at a simmer. So that might push him into an extreme temperature swing. So here's the problem for me though. Mario Party sucks and is bad, and they shouldn't still be making it, but people keep buying it because they're bonkers and they don't understand that it's a bad game. It's a bad game.
That's never stopped me from playing Kingdom Hearts every week.
I know. I don't understand that either. Like I get that you're doing the project, which but
my participation in Kingdom Hearts was not entirely consensual, I should point out.
But you could have just played Kingdom Hearts. And
no, that was not the project that was given to me.
By whom?
by Joe. There was a whole campaign. He literally made a campaign video, got Neil involved in it and everything. The decision was not in my hands. But the act of including Sonic games in the lineup was my way of getting a little revenge.
So I think the challenge with Mario Party Monthly, from my standpoint, is I don't have any Mario Parties.
Yeah, I don't either, actually.
Because I on emulator anyway.
Because I have decided to keep that evil from my life.
And also, we have discovered a pretty good system for sharing digital games too.
This is being recorded, so let's keep that.
Oh, this one is completely top shelf. This one's not piracy at all. Like, legitimately, it's just managing whose account has the primary system for what Switch. Oh. That is completely legitimate. Actually, something you can just do.
Oh God,
it's working as intended.
If there's one thing Mario Party is, it's above the board, guys.
We're all playing this one license of Mario Party, and no one's happy.
Well, it's maximum 2 people per license, so we did have to buy 3 copies of Monopoly.
I would rather. So here's the thing.
I'm about being part of the problem. Damn.
Here's the thing. I would actually.
It was on sale.
I would actually rather play not Mario Party. And by that I mean anything that's not Mario Party. But
what about something like Dokapon Kingdom?
No, because that takes like 400 hours. so I've played Dokapon Kingdom with a member of the NWR staff in my apartment, and we only played for like 4 hours, and it was already starting to cause bubbling tension. And it's like, we should probably go to bed. And it was like, yeah, we should. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to get murdered in my sleep.
You guys have a strange presupposition to want to enjoy video games. I don't fully get it.
Well, so the issue, the fundamental issue is that I'm fine playing a game that's funny bad. I mean, I did that on the stream a couple weeks ago. Something worse than any Mario Party y'all have played. I played it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of episode 400, I mean, I think maybe probably the last time I played a Mario Party game was during episode 400.
We did,
or at least when we were there in Colorado.
We did do a Mario Party
and I was incredibly high, and I used to think that detracted from the experience, but it was probably the only way I made it through.
John didn't understand edibles, I believe is the concern.
Well, at that time I couldn't get them.
Oh, I know. But
I couldn't get them. Colorado was one of the only places in the U.S. where they were actually legal.
Oh yeah. I think the warning.
I understood them. Believe me, I knew the concept.
Well, let me rephrase that. You knew the.
I really never tried them.
You did. So. You didn't know the race condition.
As the saying goes, these edibles ain't shit.
Yes.
There was.
It's always the. These aren't doing anything to me.
I'll have another bite.
It's only been an hour. I'm going back to the well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, you see, they get processed differently than smoking, and it takes longer, and then it shows up hard.
I know that now.
Yeah, that was. I believe that was after the night where you and I played George the Jungle on Wii at 2 a.m. So,
yeah,
things happened that night. I don't understand all of them, but it was fine. That was stone cold sober too. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
So I think it would be more tenable for us if it was some other bootleg ass party game.
It's like Pac-Man Fever.
No, because that game's a fucking nightmare. Something where it wasn't created by sociopaths. And Pac-Man Fever was clearly created by sociopaths.
More so than Mario Party, I think.
So what if we put 32 games in this but only lets you play 5 of them? It'll be great. It's a great plan. I got sick of those games and I wasn't playing them.
They repeated quick.
Yeah, I think it was round 4. So that's the challenge there. So if it was a party game that wasn't Mario Party, I would be more amenable. Something where we're all on even footing. Because I feel like there's the punishment game coming in now, and I'm so bad at Mario Party because I haven't played it that I'd be coming in unfair. And I'm only there to hurt others. That's my whole reason. So I've got plenty of punishment games I could subscribe or assign. But
it is fair. I do often insist Mario Party is a game of skill. So I do have to grant you that.
So what I will say is it is not a game of skill, but you can be bad at it. You can't be good at it, but you can.
Well, when you have the same 4 people playing every month for a year and a half, you start to develop skills real quick.
Yeah, like
You start to see the code.
You understand the bullshit in the mini games. Whereas if you're just expecting them to function like normal mini games made by a competent video game developer who's made video games before, you might come in and see those components and go, "What the fuck is this?" and not understand what you're doing. And then you won't win.
And really, are you actually getting good at the game, or are you just developing coping skills?
I mean,
little of column A, little of column B.
I would argue, based on my professional career, those are the same thing. There's no discernible. This is straight up Pam from The Office. They're the same picturing right now.
We have definitely discovered that one of the skills we developed is like to not hate each other. Like tonight, we discovered that totally screwing each other over, our reaction is not to get upset. It's to go, good move. I would have done that. And that's like the only thing that 15 months of misery can come out of.
And RFN works entirely on spite. Like it is a spite-fueled enterprise. It is constant backstabbing and just driving daggers wherever we can get them. So that I know that gives the ethos of Dokapon Kingdom. I would almost rather it be something like one of those awful Ubisoft game show ones. Something where it's just like, this is a really dumb thing we're doing right now, and there's no chance it's going to go well.
Oh, so unironically, I've thought about those, and like I actually have one that I've played with some friends, and they do not run well.
No,
like there were constant disconnects.
Oh, they're terrible.
It's actually unstreamable.
They're bad at everything. That's the best part about them. I mean, it could be that rare NES game. I'm blanking on its name. The board game that Neil loves.
Anticipation.
Yeah. Damn it! I was supposed to take your immutability away.
Couldn't resist.
Yeah, like that would be more our speed because no one will win. Everyone will lose, and the AI cheats. So if we lose to the AI because it cheated, I think we all feel better about ourselves.
That's a fair point, but I'll say, the invitation is always open, both to you guys, any members of NWR staff. Weirdly, no one's taken up on this offer.
There's not like a line of people who want to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like who doesn't want to play Mario Party every single month?
Who doesn't want to spend 3 hours playing a game they hate and run the risk of being assigned a game they're gonna hate worse?
Oh man.
Yeah, what a terrible situation that you like. Why would nobody want that?
I don't know if you caught wind of this one because it was one of the very first ones, but like the first punishment game I was assigned was League of Legends.
Good. That's perfect.
And Alex gave that one to me, and I told him he has set a dangerous precedent.
I mean, the fucking dinosaur game really created a new kind of hell.
I paid League of Legends back in kind by assigning him a ROM hack of Sonic 3, where every time you do anything, you're interrupted by a pop-up message from Amochow.
God, I will give you this one. You can have it. It's free. You can use this whenever you like, as long as it's not against me. There is a ROM hack of, I think it's Sonic. It might be the first Sonic. No, it's Sonic. It's Sonic 2. That replaces Sonic with Bubsy the Bobcat. And if
that almost sounds too tame.
Well, it gets better. If you have played Bubsy for some reason, you know that it is a platformer with fall damage. And Bubsy does not know how to use rings. So when he takes a hit, he dies with fall damage. There are phases like the pinball area that are almost unbeatable because they're all predicated on being launched around the stage, and that will kill him.
This is dangerous knowledge that can be weaponized against me.
It is truly a spiteful video game, and he does talk. So there's that too. It's truly a piece of garbage. There is a Sonic Boom Realm Hawk as well, where it's just all those awful like bounce pad over and over again whenever you hit stuff.
Sonic Boom already feels like a ROM hack.
Well, has anybody been assigned Sonic Boom?
No,
because I have a copy.
No, me and Joe just started playing it on stream one day.
God, why?
And we discovered a new bug that no one's ever seen before.
New tech has been found. What garbage?
We heard an unused voice line that, according to the cutting room floor, should not appear anywhere.
Good.
So we were treading new ground there.
Breaking new ground in this awful, awful video game. I mean, so
James, you just keep your copy of Sonic Boom around, sort of like break glass
it's
in event of emergency sort of thing. Like
it's on
just in
the
case
shelf.
you have to like say somebody tries to rob you, you just throw Sonic Boom at them.
Here,
and eventually
take this and leave.
It's like, and they're just out of here. They just jump out the first window they see.
The real reason that we ended up playing Sonic Boom, me and Joe, is we were actually going to play Sonic Chronicles. To match with Kingdom Hearts 358 and a half days. And we had to stop that after 30 minutes because multiple people in the chat reported getting motion sick.
Good. I mean, that's also the game with the terrible soundtrack. So why shouldn't it give you motion sickness?
So for the health of our viewers, we had to come up with something else on the spot.
What you should have done is just doubled the video, so they had it in two places. Like it's stereoscopic now. Now it's 3D.
Oh, if only. That's what that game's missing.
I've ported this game to 3DS by making it stereoscopic. You're welcome.
Well, maybe that would give slightly less motion sickness. Or more.
Oh, the options are unlimited. All right, let's get our next call. MASB sent me an audio file. I don't have a headset, but I do have a mic. I recorded a file about asking for the Switch's amazing success. I was like,
Don't get the Twitch channel banned.
I can't use an MP3 of you talking. What am I supposed to do with this? This is a live performance. I can't just all right, John, here's this MP3. And everybody else, I'm going to put my microphone right up to the speaker. Can you hear it?
Nobody's going to hear this question, but...
What do you want me to do with this?
I might be able to handle that.
This is bizarre. All right, well, let's go back to the channel and see if we've got a next caller up. Maybe, if I can get back to the channel. Let's see. All right, who wants to go next? I'm losing track of the chat. It's hard to do all these things at one time. Y'all are out here talking about the draft. I'm trying to keep things on focus. Come on. All right, well, while we are sorting out who is the next caller, we're going to take a break, and we're going to get to the next. Not that email. That email needs Greg. It's hard because a lot of these emails, I look at them and I'm like, I want that person. No, I don't want that person. All right, here we go. I got this one. This is from Noah, who writes, Dear Spike Fan Club, in March 2023, we welcome the release of the fourth wave of DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe alongside a new batch of tracks. We also received new playable character Birdo, as well as blank spots for 5 new playable characters. What characters do you think will fill those spots in future DLC releases? Seeing as you are all avid Spike enjoyers, who the fuck is Spike? I figured you would put him in as a definite contender. Perhaps Spike could use the Shy Guy or Link and come with several different outfits or color combinations to choose from. Aside from that, I think it would definitely be cool for a character like Samus or Joker to join in the karting action. Thanks for all you do. Best wishes. John, I need you right now to tell me, what 5 characters do you think belong in this new Mario Kart DLC? Keep in mind, this DLC is coming out right now, so the relevancy of those characters might be important vis-a-vis a $1 billion thing that might exist that's going on. Just a thought.
Are you describing a certain cinematic masterpiece?
What if we do this draft style? So I'm gonna. It's because inspired by nothing going on right now. Nothing going on right now. Nothing is happening right now that made me think that doing this draft style would be a good idea. What if we do this? You can draft whatever you want.
I think the obvious gold mine here, even though licensing would be an issue, would be the real life cast of the Mario movie.
So you're gonna jump the draft and literally draft 5 people in one shot.
Yes.
Or are you gonna put them all in one cart?
I know they're all gonna be separate carts.
So you have taken your first pick in the draft and managed to turn that into a draft of 5 people.
Well, my first pick in the draft would be Chris Pratt as Star-Lord in Mario Kart.
Okay, so the licensing is getting even more difficult.
It's going to be worth it though.
Chris
Worth it.
Pratt, parenthetical Star-Lord.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to go and say that that's an interesting choice you've made, and I definitely feel like I there's no way I can perceive where the rest of your choices are going to go in this drafting exercise. I am going to go ahead and say, and maybe he's already in here, but I don't think he is. Cranky Kong, because of course in the Mario Kart movie, which I have still not seen, even though I had the opportunity to see it for literally almost no money the other day, and I did not, in an empty theater. He is featured prominently in that game, and he's probably already in Mario Kart 8. Actually, you know what I should do? I should bring up a list of Mario Kart 8 characters. Although I feel pretty confident that I don't need to worry about it for where your list is going. Just a guess, because I feel like your list is probably going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm looking at the full list here. I just think they're kind of tame. You know,
they are tame.
Like Ludwig and Iggy.
Yeah,
who cares?
There's a bunch of babies.
Yeah. It's
a bunch of babies. I'm looking at a list that does not have Birdo on it, but it has everybody else. So I'm gonna snake draft this and go with my second pick. So, wait, did I? Yes, I did give you the first pick, Cranky Kong. My second pick is Dr. Goomba Tower. So I think Dr. Goomba Tower needs to come back from Dr. Mario Tour. And now he is 3 Goombas in a car, driving a car. We're gonna call him. Mm-hmm. We're gonna call him Racer X Goomba Tower. Because he's not a doctor anymore. He's driving. And you can't drive in a lab coat. That's against the law. So that's my number 2 pick, Racer X Goomba Tower. John, what is your number 2 pick?
Charge and Chuck is a pretty great one.
Charge and Chuck is a great one. Is he gonna be like too big for the cart? I guess DK fits. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good. What's your number 3 pick?
Let's see. My number 3 pick would be maybe something pretty silly. Let's see.
Unlike Racer X Goomba Tower, which is very serious.
Exactly. So which is very, very serious. Popeye would be great.
Popeye. Oh, Popeye might be getting close to that magic window as well.
Yeah.
Popeye's been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my number 3 pick. I am going to go with the inescapable reality that is... John, you remember when Mario Kart 8 got a Mercedes added to it? Got 2 Mercedes added to it?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that happened. I'm drafting Minions number 3. We're going to have Minion carts.
Oh, boy.
So there's an entire Minion section of Universal Studios in Osaka. It's opposite the park, the Nintendo section. So this is an inescapable reality that we're just going to have to deal with. It lives, it breathes. We're just going to have to be here. But that's okay. We're gonna get through this together, because the next character that we have up is Dry Wario. That's right, skeletons. We're putting bones in. We love skeletons in RFN, and so do you. But we've limited skeletons only to Bowser and Dry Bones himself, which is just a Koopa. So we're gonna go ahead and introduce Dry. I don't know if they're humans. Dry human-like characters, and we're starting with Dry Wario. He's going to have a skeleton mustache. It's going to be awesome. Dry Wario is my number 4 pick. John, what is your number 4 pick?
One of the Wii Fit.
The Wii Fit trainers?
The Wii Fit. Yeah, the Wii Fit trainers.
That's smart. No, that's smart. Because that gives them the opportunity to tell us to get off our butt and go do it. I think that's good. I think they could also do an alternate costume that's like the Ring Fit trainer. I think somebody just unmuted, which is terrifying to think about, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's right. And they happen to be in the bathroom, so good luck with that.
This is cool. Rip this podcast, I guess.
Exactly.
All right.
I would say Mother Brain would be kind of cool.
Oh, that's a strong number 5. You know what? Mother Brain hasn't been in any side content. She's not been a Smash character. She's not. Everybody's like, oh, we need Ridley. No, I want a brain in a jar.
That'd be pretty cool. A brain in a jar. Like you could make a pretty cool cart out of that. I think.
Yeah, I think that works really well. You know, I'm looking at the Smash Ultimate list, and there's just not that many people on it. Smash Ultimate list is so narrow, so few characters. It's just dull. Like there's nobody on there. I'm not sure who I'd want to put in a kart racing game that it just doesn't feel like there's anybody here that would work. I just not feel Bayonetta kart racing. That's it.
It'll work.
It'll work. Because now we can make Bones and Bayonetta jokes, and we're good. So that is it. So, John, your draft list is Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, Charging Chuck, Popeye, We Fit Trainers, and Mother Brain.
Yep.
My draft list is Cranky Kong, Racer X Goomba Tower. So I think he's really going to have like the Racer X style helmet, and everybody's going to pretend like they don't know it's Goomba Tower, even though it's 3 fucking Goombas sitting on each other. Come on. A Minion. Dry Wario. That is Wario as a skeleton. We love skeletons.
I just always think of Dry Wario as like Wario who has quit the sauce.
I was thinking Wario with like a really like stringent sense of humor. It's just like sipping on a martini on like an old 60s style night show, smoking a cigar, telling very understated jokes. And Bayonetta. So that's our rundown. That's 2 emails. 2 emails have been answered in the show where I said we would not answer any emails. I am killing it. I am a great podcast host. People are posting the weird renditions of regionalized characters from Mario Kart Tour, including Koala Baby Mario and Peach as a farmer and or Daisy as a farmer and Rosalina in Holland attire.
Yeah.
Bus driver Waluigi, that's not okay. That's not okay.
I don't know I wonder what region is that Daisy is a farmer.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really seem anything particularly regional about it.
So I'm going to add. Oh boy! Oh, I say I have a message from Seren. Oh, okay. That's. She's just sending me tweets now in the middle of a live show. Great. We can never do live shows. This is what I've come to the conclusion. Just can't do it.
I mean, she's messaging me. I mean, come on.
I sent you both the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody asked to be a call-in guest? Because I might have missed it. So if you have asked...
I literally have.
Oh, great. Okay, well, what is your question? Go ahead, caller.
First-time listener, long-time caller.
Great. That sounds right.
Yeah, well, sometimes I get busy. So...
I say the same thing.
God
so,
damn it.
I'm like 12 hours into the Xenoblade DLC. I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay.
But I will say that its plot is completely comfortable being goddamn impenetrable if you have not played all of the previous Xenoblades.
Yeah.
Including Future Connected.
Yeah, it does not care.
It truly does not give a shit. It does not explain anything. And it does not have a pop-up at the beginning saying... you should play the base game first, or you should play the other games first. It just jumps you right in and then spoils everything. It's great. What other Nintendo franchise should have DLC that is completely and utterly fucking lore dependent? For me, I think that you need to truly understand the intricacies of the Donkey Kong War in order to truly understand the DLC for the next Donkey Kong game from EAD.
Matt is screaming the answer is Splatoon. GX is screaming Paper Mario. You're both wrong. You see, I think a thing that needs hard, important, impenetrable lore is F-Zero. I need Devil's Star. Jesus fucking Christ. I need a new F-Zero game to come out, but it to be almost entirely story driven. So not a multiplayer racer. Fuck that. Nobody has friends anymore. It's 2023. You don't have friends. You don't have friends. I'm sorry. If you think you have friends, you don't. This is a single player only experience where you race against the computer in a heavy story driven thing. But the thing is, the racers react based on the characters that you're racing against. And so you have to know what they're going. You have to be thinking one step ahead of them to win these races. It's about knowing their proclivities and acting against them. So you better fucking know what Samurai Goro is into. Otherwise, you're never going to win that race. And the only way to do that is to go back to F-Zero GX and play it and memorize all the video sequences so that you can reverse engineer the little hints that game accidentally left for you 20 years ago. Are we going to re-release F-Zero GX to make that happen? No. Find a GameCube and a copy. That's a you problem, not a me problem. Story-driven racing, single-player only lore experience. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the gimmick. John, what do you got?
I think the obvious one here is a sequel to Odama. That is completely. I'm talking story-based pinball.
So is it a sequel to Odama itself, or is it a sequel to the concept?
I think it would be a sequel to Odama, and it would be on the player to go and familiarize themselves with that existing Odama lore.
So I don't remember.
Which doesn't exist.
I don't remember the exact era that Odama was supposed to take place in. I think it might be like the Genpei War era. So this would be like right around the founding of the Tokugawa shogunate, not near the end. What if Odama required you to have an extremely sophisticated knowledge of Japanese feudal history in order to accurately make good choices in the story on who you support and what you stand for? And
and also I think during gameplay you would have to use period authentic Japanese to issue commands.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and don't worry, Japanese as a language has evolved immensely in the intervening 300 to 400 years. So, it's fine. I think the game should also be entirely written using the writing styles of that era, which do complicate things ever so slightly. On account of the fact that nobody can read them except people who study that, but you know what? I think that's the price you pay for authenticity.
Yeah,
and
we're not asking people to play. We're not asking people to play this. We're not even asking people to like this.
We're asking people to embrace the vision.
Yeah,
yeah. This is art. This is art for art's sake.
This is real. This is organic. This is Odama 2.
Odama 2. Except it's going to be all in Japanese. I don't know what counter you would use to say the sequel.
Obviously, I mean, I look at it. I look at this game as more of a journey, and that people that want this experience, they're going to search it out. They're going to earn it. They're going to work for it.
I need you to have to familiarize yourself at the memorization level to the tale of Genji, because there will be trivia questions, and we have over 1,900 in the game, so you will not be able to just like look them up. Also, they're timed.
Yeah, and if you can't do that, then you just don't really deserve this game.
You're a fake fan. You're a fake fan, and that's fine. Because the implication here is that you have to know the canon of the game you're playing. What if you had to know the canon of something completely unrelated?
Yeah, and I mean, really, the world needs fake so it can recognize real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, the game will uninstall itself and not let you reinstall it. We will not refund you, but that's fine. You know, war.
That's how it was in feudal Japan.
Right, you only got one life in war. So if you got killed because you didn't know the answer to this very specific question about what the Uesugi clan was doing at this particular juncture in time and failed to roll your giant pinball over the correct member of the clan, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Facts.
Yeah, and so rest in peace. But Great. Do we have our next? MASB has now sent me the text of his call. This is great.
Hello?
Oh my God, caller, go ahead. Who's this?
Hello, this is Guillaume.
Oh,
I'm calling from a moving bus in Christchurch. Mostly just to brag.
Good.
And to rub it in.
Okay.
Yeah, but also I may have something that it's obviously been inspired by another pick. It's going to be quite obvious, but basically, I think that Metroid Prime 4
Yes.
should not make any sense if you've played the other Prime games, unless you realize at some point that everything hinges on pinball being canon.
Oh.
And then once you realize that, like everything falls into place. But until then, you're like, what the hell's going on here? And it's just impenetrable.
You achieve Metroid Nirvana.
Exactly. And I guess, like, I don't know. I've never played Metroid Prime Pinball that much, but I assume there's some sort of like real ending or something. Like, I know that there's like a third table that you can play somewhere. So if you haven't done that, like, good luck figuring out what's happening in Metroid Prime 4.
Oh, that's a good answer. I love when the callers come in and help out with the other callers' questions and give us good answers. Good.
Excellent.
Excellent.
All right. Well, I will now log off, and I'm going to return soon, I guess.
All right. Well,
to
whatever this is. All right, Guillaume, it was great hearing from you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, caller.
Yeah, I also like the fact that he's on a moving bus, so I'm assuming that he's moving. He's actually helping somebody move on a bus.
On a bus
so,
in New Zealand.
So I picture him surrounded by furniture on a bus.
He went
somewhere in New Zealand.
He went all the way to New Zealand to help someone move using a bus.
Yeah.
It's very efficient use of time.
That's a friend in need. You know what I mean?
It's like it's like a 36-hour flight.
What a trooper! Hell of a guy, like Guillaume. Man, I tell you, I got salt of the earth.
Hero. We don't throw the word hero around enough.
We don't throw it around much, but in this case, absolutely.
MASB has sent me a text. Caller has sent me a text transcription of his call. We have hit new lows. MASB calls. Talk RFN, the best reason to listen to Satellite Radio since the Fish Universe channel debuted. So glad to hear James and John, the brothers Lindemann. What the fuck is that shit? Text form, if that helps. 2 questions for the August panel. A potent potpourri, if you will. The success Nintendo's enjoyed over the past 6 years is obvious for anyone to see, except those news outlets that have been writing that the Switch story is exhausted since 2018. Amid all this success, what do you think Nintendo has gotten wrong? Whether it be strategic misses or repeated mistakes with games that you feel that they need to improve to keep those 10,000 yen bills cranking out from the Switch, or future Switch 2 printing press. We'll start with that question first. John, what things do you think Nintendo's gotten wrong through the Switch generation?
I would just not embracing voice chat, just having a platform level voice chat. Just
do you think that would have increased their revenue in any kind of way?
No, it wouldn't have. Okay. Just because it's sort of a chicken and egg problem because they don't really base their games around voice chat in any way, or they don't make games that necessarily cater to it. But that's also because the voice chat experience on their platform is pretty fractured. So if you don't have any way for users to really voice chat in any convenient way, then most games are not going to have voice chat in them. Not saying that voice chat is necessarily the be-all, end-all, but for a lot of experiences it would improve a lot. And I think just in general, I mean, I think that the stance that Nintendo takes on voice chat is obviously trying to protect children, which is paramount. But at the same time, a large part of their audience are adults that use voice chat all the time at work, on other consoles. I mean, voice chat is just very much like table stakes.
Okay.
For most things these days.
So let me pitch something to you. All right. So what if Nintendo sold you a device that made it possible for you to talk, like, you know, not a crazy device, just like it's a wireless device that makes it easy, because the Switch, obviously you can't use any microphones on the Switch to talk to people, so it has to be wireless because the Switch is docked sitting over there. But it also has to be supported if you're, you know, using the Switch portably. So there's obviously a little bit of a form factor challenge they have to deal with there. Other systems will plug headsets directly into the controller. You could do that. Obviously, that won't work for the Switch for the Joy-Cons. So what if there was a device they sold you that could talk to the voice chat? So like it was just like a rectangular device with a screen on it, and then there was a program on it that you could run that would let you talk to your friends, for a price, obviously. I'm trying to think what they call those. I think somebody's called them a phone before. Does that meet your needs? Because that's how
No.
Nintendo tried to meet your needs. What if we put an app on the device that's a fucking phone to do voice chat? Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah, I feel like it's just kind of silly at this point. I mean, we've been talking about this for 15 years now. Just give universal voice. Just throw universal voice chat in your next console, Nintendo.
So
please.
What if they just made it so you could coordinate with an instance of Discord? Like you just
whatever.
I'm linking my Nintendo account to Discord, and so when I'm online, it knows my friends and it sees if we're in the same game, and we can just join that way.
Yeah, I mean, if that lets them sleep at night, that's fine. But just accommodate that need. Make it easy. I mean, other consoles, like you mentioned with Discord, I mean, other consoles have that integration at this point. Xbox has had it for a while. PlayStation just added it. That would be fine. But just not having it on the platform is so silly.
I get you. It is. It's not one of the things that I think is hurting them from a business standpoint, but you kind of wish it was, just so they would get the message.
Yeah, it's just. I think it just. I think the experience suffers because of it, just because it's so ubiquitous, and nothing bad has happened. I mean, you're going to have. I mean, anytime you're going to have something like that, you're going to have bad experiences. But I think in this case, like, the good outweighs the bad. The benefit outweighs the negative aspects of it.
I could see doing it in something like Animal Crossing, but if it was just like people you invite to your island, I could see them being comfortable with that. Like, I don't want Mario Kart with voice chat. But
that's the whole thing. I mean, on these other platforms that have voice chat, I turn it off.
Yeah.
I just mute it. Like if I play Halo, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear anybody. I don't care if they're saying good things or bad things. I just don't want to hear them.
Yeah.
And so I just mute them. It's like just set everything to turned off by default, but at least give people the option.
Yeah, that's the sad thing is, like, that's where voice chat is at this point. It's either not there on Nintendo's case, or I've just got it turned off entirely. Because
most of the time, yeah,
it's just been such. Last time you and I tried to play a game on Xbox, we couldn't get the voice chat to work, so we just used Discord.
Yeah, that was goofy. But I mean, because we weren't doing it within the Xbox Live Party system.
We were doing it through the thing itself. But yeah, there are opportunities definitely for Nintendo to have improved on their voice chat. I think more broadly you could make the case that Nintendo account hasn't necessarily delivered the value that it should be, and as a consequence, although they're making a shitload of money on Nintendo account, they could be making more.
They could.
And that comes from the experience being such that they could charge more for it. Right now, their price makes it quite clear they understand the value that it offers. But also that it would be more attractive to more people. So I think they right priced it, considering what it offers. Like, I don't think the price is bad. I think they could have charged more and made it more full featured, though.
Absolutely, yeah. I think.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And I just think, like we were talking about previously, how they've sort of expanded their partnership with DNA. Specifically to address, you would think, shortcomings with the Nintendo account system, and I think this might be one of those areas that they address, because they really do. It's the one thing that I can really point to. It's with Nintendo. It's not it's like the graphical power of the Switch. Who really cares for the most part?
Right.
The games are fantastic. It's not that kind of stuff. It's sort of more the quality of life issues compared to the other consoles.
That's fair. So I think mine is focused. So I would say it was that lull that what they just kind of went through that they've decided to absolutely just obliterate at this moment, with Advance Wars getting rolled over by DLC for Xenoblade, which is then going to have Tears of the Kingdom hot on its heels. But I actually think the miss here is not having enough faith in the Mario movie. And so let me pause here for a second. They obviously had faith in it, or they wouldn't have done it. But I think, that movie was in development for 4+ years. They had a lot of time to prep themselves for it. I legitimately believe they should have had a product going to the market right now that is Mario's themed. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a 3D Mario platformer. I think that might be asking too much. I don't think it should be an old game that gets revived. I don't think it should be sales for existing games. I think it should be a proper title that has appeal, that maybe even borrows some of the imagery from the game, but is from the movie, but doesn't really try to ape what the movie is. It's very much its own thing. And I think that you could have potentially done a actual proper 2D Mario game here, because of course we haven't gotten a new 2D Mario game besides obviously the Mario Makers since New Super Mario Brothers U, and then the Luigi add-on that came later, which is technically a game on its own. You can buy the Luigi. So I guess the Luigi game, New Super Luigi U, is the last game we got. But that does I believe that reuses some New Super Mario Brothers U content. So, that game right now, with the Mario gas it's got going on, I think would be. I mean, it would have done well anyway, but I think it would be pulling effing numbers right now. And I understand that releasing a Mario game 3 weeks ago, and then releasing Zelda in 2 weeks, so 5 weeks between them, is not the way Nintendo would want to do things. And I think rightly so, because this Zelda game is 7 years anticipated, effectively. We were asking what's the next Zelda going to be as soon as we had our spoiler cast on Breath of the Wild. So I get that they'd have to be spread out, but there was nothing that said Breath of the Wild had to release May 12th. It's not ending the fiscal year that way. They could have released it June 12th.
Yeah.
And given themselves an extra month. And then that game would have had 7 weeks between them, which is plenty of fucking time. And I think that game would be killing right now. I think that game would be absolutely killing. You could put ads for it in the trailer lead in to the movie. Hey, we just dropped a new Mario experience. You should go play it now. And they would be making so much goddamn money. And they're just not. And I think if I'm an investor, I understand COVID hit their development resources hard, but actual new exclusive to Switch Mario games. We've gotten Mario Maker 2, which felt very much like an add-on, although it had a lot of new content. And we got Odyssey, which is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But we should have had a 2D Mario already. And to me, this is where it should have gone, especially when you consider how much.
Yeah, and it's not like you don't know that movie is coming out years ahead of time.
No, they've been working on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, they honestly, that game should have been sitting in the can waiting for the movie to finish. And it doesn't have to be a new Super Mario Brothers game. I think it would actually be beneficial if it wasn't, because of course New Super Mario Brothers U and Luigi U is available on Switch already. I think you could start a new art style, or you could base an art style on, rather than the 3D Mario model you've been using, you could make a new art style that's more 2D focused. You could create something that looks nice, and maybe it does take some design cues from what they've done with the Mario universe in the movie. This doesn't mean it has to be Street Fighter the movie, the game, but nothing. All they've had is sales on their existing games. I'm sure they're having a nice little surge as a consequence, But if they dropped a new $60 game right now, and that was good, and like filled a niche, like those 2D Mario games do really well. New Super Mario Brothers U, Luigi U did really well on Switch. Like, let it ride. The other one I would go with is I do think we're getting to the point where people are so anxious about the Switch replacement that it might actually be preventing people from buying games right now. Like, because they're like, well, what if they just don't transfer over? Like, if the Switch successor will, there's a challenge here. Could you just say like, yeah, it's gonna, and does that cause people to stop buying the hardware? And it probably doesn't, because I feel like the people who would care about that are not the ones who are buying buying Switch hardware right now. They've had 7 years to buy it.
Yeah, and they're buying it because they can get games cheap or whatever.
Right. These are the people who are buying Switch now are not necessarily the hardcore, or they're buying a second Switch or a replacement Switch or whatever. Because the hardcore who were interested in what Switch was offering already have had 7 years to buy it, and so them finding out that like, hey, our successors is like you say, even this is I'm like. Our plan is that the games for Switch will be playable on future Nintendo systems. We're not ready to announce any future systems at this time. But we don't have any plans to announce any this year. Done. If they could set a sentence like that, just to assuage people, like, no, you could buy this game now. You can play it now. And then a year from now, you'll be able to play it. You'll still be able to play it on whatever you're playing it on. But to me, it's the true money loser here is why the fuck is there not a Mario game coming out right now?
Yeah, and it's sort of kind of typical Nintendo in that they're usually not really that savvy in lining up different parts of their business.
No, and that's a shame.
They tend to think of things in silos. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go.
Like there's definitely something to be said there for like the game, the movie, the theme park.
Yeah.
And there was really none of that connected.
What if one of the Universal Studios, like the Orlando one, was timed to open with the launch of the movie and a new game, and they did them all with the press of a single button, a big comical Mario Switch Palace style button outside the park in Orlando?
Yeah,
done. Like we've wired this button to the eShop to activate sales of the game. Also, it's got a robot arm that will cut the ribbon, and also the movie will go live.
Yep.
And then somebody had to jump on it. See, that's brand synergy.
That is Paul marketing right there.
That is Paul fucking marketing. You're right. Is it lasers or is it smoke machine when you press the button?
I think it has to be smoke machine.
Okay. I was almost wondering if it's like fireworks, but then I'm worried about accidentally setting our brand new theme park on fire.
Mm-hmm. Well, at this point, it would be what, like coordinated drones in the air?
Like, that's true. Like, what if when you stepped on it, like, it's just the outline of the Switch Palace block, and then when you did it, it turned into the actual block, and then it turned into Mario giving a thumbs up, and then it turned into a bunch of dollar signs.
Exactly.
All right,
it turned into Mario making it rain.
There you go. That's Paul marketing. There is a dangerous reality that we are very close to Paul marketing. It's that we are.
It's true.
We are almost.
It's just true. I feel like everybody has a little Paul marketing in them.
It's just that's what Paul marketing wants.
It's just waiting to come out.
Sometimes I think we just have a little too much.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let our next caller and join in. So I have let them know in the chat they can join in if you want to call. If you want to call, go ahead and message me in the chat for RFN. Ask James for an invite, and I will get you set up to call next. Caller, you may have to leave and come back in order to get the ability to unmute yourself. I cannot unmute you. I can simply invite you to join. Oh, caller, go ahead. Uh-oh. Got silence. This. Whoa, got static.
Oh,
Now,
Yeah, there we go.
success. This is a game in and of itself. I
Yeah,
like it.
this is. I'm managing 2 distinct chats and people messaging me just to screw with me and trying to have a conversation. It's going great.
It's admirable. I appreciate the effort.
Yeah. So, introduce yourself.
Norv is the username. I'm Scott in Charlotte, so we just got our Bryce Young deal today.
We saw it. John texted me about it, and I'm like, John,
Yep.
do either of us follow the Panthers?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
barely do. I kind of wish I didn't most of the time. But anyway, aside from that, it was about 2 weeks ago. Gary Bowser, formerly of Team Executor, was released early
Yes.
from prison on good behavior. So that's interesting.
He didn't
happened
bootleg
to-
anything while he was in prison.
Yeah.
Let him out.
He managed not to bootleg anything while he's in prison. Yeah, that's nice. It just happened to hit the news cycle around the same time that Point Crow or whoever it was on YouTube had some comments about Nintendo's copyright claims and all that. There's a bit of like a segment of the community online had a really visceral backlash to it that I didn't entirely get. So while both of those issues are certainly big enough, you may want to discuss them separately. I'm mostly interested in what you think about the reaction some people had to this dynamic.
So I missed the reactions. I saw the reaction of people who weren't in the community who were just like, wait, he also has to pay a penalty? Which is interesting in the sense that it seems like people don't know how the criminal justice system and then the punitive justice system are not the same thing. When you sue somebody for a crime that they did against you, that's different than the jail time they do. The numbers about the lawsuit, like whatever, they are what they are. But so can you give me some background on what the reaction was, though? I know he's not well liked in the homebrew Switch hacking community.
Yeah, I guess let's focus on the Gary Bowser thing.
Yes.
Mostly. It's like the part of the reconciliation was at the sentencing. This was a while ago. The judge suggested part of the motivation for sentencing as they did was to set an example of it.
Right.
You know, that this is sort of like a fall guy for Team Executor is his statement. That he's not the one who was really making the product so much as selling it. And some people think that the penalty is outsized for that reason. But like I look at it from this is who Nintendo can get on this issue, and it's not something they could just ignore.
Right. And so they were producing mods for the Switch that basically allowed you to defeat the copy protection.
Yes.
Yeah, just to give people context.
And this is something that they had commercialized.
Yeah, they were selling it as a company, which is
right.
stupid.
Yeah, well, and specifically for this reason, because when you've got money, there's money you can go after.
Right. And so he was effectively the face of the company. He is, as far as I know, he is the American in the company. And he was the one who was evangelizing the service. And the federal government and Nintendo said, no, we're not doing that. And so he was both sued by Nintendo and settled for a large cash amount that he will never pay back. And he was,
it's like $10 million.
Yeah.
And he can withhold up to 30% of his earnings annually to pay that back.
Which is that's pretty standard for when they when a hold is put on your paycheck. It's usually not 30% if you can't afford it, but that's like the max they can do. It's basically the term is they're garnishing his wages.
Mm-hmm.
But he also picked up a federal conviction, so that might be difficult to find work. Like I shouldn't be laughing, but that's the reality of the situation. You know, he violated a federal crime or federal statute and was charged for that, separate from the Nintendo lawsuit. So the reaction from the community, I know that Team Executor is not particularly well liked in the homebrew and hacking community. I believe part of it's because they've reused stuff that other people made and commercialized it. It might just be an attitude thing. It might be a success thing. I don't know. I'm not really plugged into that community as much, but I'm guessing the reaction in that community was probably a mix of whatever the opposite of Schadenfreude is, where they're like, this person we don't like is getting out of jail. That sucks. And people who are just like, well, wait, these this punishment seems wildly excessive. Is that fairly accurate?
As like this half of the equation, yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
And then the other part of the question that you had, can you give some background on that?
So this was a YouTuber
Mm-hmm.
who had put out like a bounty for a multiplayer mod for Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Somebody who's, you may recall that story when he issued it. This is something that was completed recently. He'd posted a number of YouTube videos involving content with the Breath of the Wild multiplayer mod that Nintendo put copyright claims on.
Yes. On the videos.
Yeah. He disputed it, which resulted in Nintendo claiming further Breath of the Wild videos that he had. And like I say, it just happened to hit the news cycle around the same time as Gary Bowser getting out of prison and sort of relitigating that conversation.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a re-instigation of the Nintendo is very militant against some of its biggest fans conversation.
Yeah, that's a pretty fair summary of the two situations, because I didn't connect them, even though I saw people in the commentary saying, like, oh, it's just another example of the lawyers. Well, it's really two distinct things. Is Nintendo going after the videos in the same realm as going after a company that was making a mod chip to bypass your protection? No, they're completely separate paths, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not even the same litigation team, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, they pulled down a lot of his videos, but I guess they have his comment here. It's a complicated situation for sure. On the one hand, Nintendo was the original copyright owner. On the other hand, we make new creations, referring to this mod. It's a battle royale mod,
right?
I guess. We make new creations out of it, and then we are the copyright owners of that new creation, fair use here and there. If Nintendo reads that, I would like to tell them the following. Because of our mods and videos, we are basically creating free promotion for the games, extending the life of the games, and also it results in more fans ultimately buying the games. Please take an example of other game developers that are even offering modding tools to their community. I think this is very misguided. This is not open source software. You can't just repurpose it for whatever you want. Nintendo will sue the shit out of you for that, just like any company would.
Yeah,
that's pretty much where it stops. Like, you can't just say, like, we're basically taking. You can't just take the code from, Breath of the Wild, make a new creation out of it, and have Nintendo be okay with that. They're not going to be. They're going to say, we wrote that code, we own it, don't touch it. We never gave you permission to do that. Regardless, and Nintendo also does not give a shit if you promote their game. They don't.
No, they don't. They
don't need the promotion. They have a marketing team for that.
They're like, this is one of those situations where, they're probably within their rights to take down any video that they feel like taking down. This is probably not to me, this is less of a legal thing and more of a PR thing. And it would depend on the video. So, like, obviously these mods are almost certainly being run in PC emulators, which is going to make Nintendo feel not happy about it to begin with, because it would be much more difficult to mod the game on Switch, obviously.
Yeah, and they have to be consistent in that message that pirating their stuff will not be tolerated. They've been very consistent with that over time.
Right. So it's one of those situations where it's like, now, but there are plenty of videos on the internet right now of people playing Breath of the Wild in emulators on PCs, going like, look, I've got a 4K patch of Breath of the Wild that I've created. And that they've more or less left those videos alone. The question of why, so Matt notes some of these mods are running on hack switches, which I believe Nintendo would categorize as, quote, not better. But the multiplayer one is PC only. Okay, so they don't have to be like ruthlessly
litigant about it.
Yeah, or consistent is the word here, because YouTube will just do it. Like they don't have to. This isn't a court case. YouTube will just go like, hey, YouTube, pull that video down, and YouTube's not going to go, well, you didn't ask about these other ones, because they know Nintendo's answer would be, okay, pull those down too, because YouTube doesn't want to have a fight. It does Google no good. Google and Nintendo are business partners. There's no point in them having a fight. If Nintendo wants a video to come down, Google will take it down. Now, Nintendo, from a PR standpoint, even if they don't have any legal claim to do that, Google would take it down because ultimately that business partnership is worth more to Google, even though it's probably relatively fringe in their business plannings, than whatever revenue that video is going to do for them. And we all know that YouTube ads don't make any money whatsoever for anybody, including YouTube. So like, it's kind of a moot point. So if Nintendo's like, hey, we don't like this video, take it down, unless it's just like obviously, blatantly, like Nintendo has no ground to make a claim on this video. They just don't like this. Like they find a video of your dog and they're like, that dog sucks. Take that video down. Fuck that dog. Fuck that dog personally. Like, YouTube's going to be like, we can't just take down this video of a dog you don't like. Come on. But if it's got anything that gives, like, even the toehold to a claim of copyright violation, YouTube's going to go like, yeah, sure, whatever. Because it's faster for them to just make Nintendo happy than it turned into a big, long chain of, and this happened here. The person objected, which led to a review, which led to more videos coming down. That's the outcome YouTube doesn't want to deal with. They want it over and done with. Because, and I have read the horror stories, if you're a YouTube moderator, you see much worse shit than copyright violation.
Yeah, well, but Nintendo could also theoretically sue YouTube for enabling people to.
They could, but they won't.
You know,
because it's because they don't want to go. They don't want to go to court with Google's lawyers. Like this.
True.
This is two sides who have mutually assured destruction that they can lob at each other, except Nintendo doesn't actually have any weapons compared to Google. So Google just doesn't want to have a fight. It's more important to keep the business relationship healthy. Nintendo,
yes,
it doesn't have to go after everything, and we know that they don't. The fact that they did is a PR decision. The only reason I can assume they made it is that the thing got big and somebody higher up in the chain was like, I don't like that. Do something about it. Because there are plenty of mod videos on YouTube right now. And yeah, as Matt notes, YouTube is not gonna side with creators. Like that's just not their MO, because they don't want to deal with the lawyers either, and creators don't really have them. And the reality of the situation is Nintendo is very likely within their rights, but your rights are only as far as you're able to execute them. And that goes the opposite way. If you're able to execute your rights in excess of what they are from a legal standpoint, because you have a compliant partner, guess what? Those are your rights now. If Google's willing to go further than the law on Nintendo's behalf, Nintendo's rights are now as far as Google's willing to go. So the big restraint factor for Nintendo's actions in that context is Nintendo's own internal restraint. And so why this particular game broke that boundary, it could be because of the bounty, it could be because of the extra PR it was getting, it could be any of that stuff. But there are other mods on you. Hell, I've seen people stream modded. I've seen people who have done Nintendo branded Twitch partnerships stream modded Breath of the Wild on a different day. On a different day. I want to be clear. Different day. But it is largely, I'm guessing, a fit of peak of an individual or a group of individuals who saw this and saw the conditions around it. And maybe they only saw it because of the extra PR that came from the bounty or the fact that it was getting more coverage or whatever. And they simply...
Yeah, it's that critical mass. I mean, word had to have gotten back to Nintendo. Obviously, Nintendo doesn't monitor everything out there, but at some point, this blew up to a degree where somebody said something in Nintendo PR and said, hey, what about this?
Oh, so Matt also reminds us that, oh, by the way, this was happening during the PR ramp up to the sequel, which probably wasn't smart. Because, of course, it's anything that's getting in the way of the conversation of the sequel. Now, what Nintendo probably, if that was their motivation, what they may have neglected to realize is that by doing that, they also undermined the PR conversation around the sequel. So there is challenge there. Now, to the initial question, yes, I did see this get conflated with the issue around Gary Bowser's release, and then the fact that he still owes Nintendo a boatload of cash. but I don't think they're conflatable. One is about not understanding the restraint of the extent of your power, being willing to use the maximalness of it in situations that do not require it. And then the other is, look, we did the thing that we would have done with if we could get our hands on these Chinese companies producing these products, but we can't. But this person did it from the U.S. and made $300,000 and had a company. All of these things make them an easy target of opportunity. Call the lawyers. We pay them to do this. This is a textbook case of what we're going after. And like whether or not a civil penalty in conjunction with the criminal penalty is just is effectively a moral decision. Like there's not an explicit like metric you can run here that says like this is just versus this is unjust. Ultimately, damages and compensatory damages. So like damages beyond just the damage you did, which Nintendo I'm sure is mathing it to being like every pirated copy of games played on these Switches is damage to us. But how do you know how many there are? You know all that stuff. But there's also like damage that's like, hey, we're adding this extra on there just to make you hurt for hurting us. And of course, there's legal fees. I'm sure Nintendo's lawyers were spent well more than the $300K that this guy made. So it's just really bad PR, and I don't understand it. But also, I guess I kind of do because the timing with the game. If I was the person who was running the mods, I might have sat on it a little bit, just to slide out of the PR window for Tears of the Kingdom, or tried to get that sooner.
I just think with Nintendo, I think it is more important to them as a company to defend their copyrights than worry about PR.
I think they vacillate, and so I think they messed it up. I think they messed it up in that case, but the lawsuit around the mod chips, like that was a settlement. I think they did their job.
But I mean, with anything legal's just going to say, yeah, we need to do this. And everybody's just going to say, okay, legal.
But sometimes that's where the executives can go like, no, it's not worth it. It's just like look, the cost of us sending you to that court is not worth it. Let's just let it ride. Because like I said, if this was a situation with bootlegs or like larger scale copyright infringement, like commercial copyright infringement, they might be more required to make a move. But with YouTube, they have such a compliant partner that like this YouTuber posted a video we don't like versus this YouTuber posted a video we're more or less ambivalent about. Like they're not gonna, there's no like court to appeal to say like, well, you let this one you're ambivalent about go, why not mine? Which you could do in a patent or a copyright protection claim. Like this is just like they have a compliant partner who will do whatever they ask them to do. So YouTube will clean up their mess even if they're not being consistent. The mod itself has not been issued to take down only the videos. Probably because it's hard to get to, if I had to guess. All right, cool. Thank you for your call. Does anybody else have a call they want to do? I might have lost it in the chat because the chat moved a bit during that topic. In the meantime, John, I promised 3 emails. I said I will do 3 emails, and then I said I lied that we're not going to do 3 emails. But you know what? If I do one,
you have a third. You have a third.
If I do one more email, John, we have 3 emails. So my question: should I keep my lie to the audience and continue to say that we lied, or because
no? I mean, if you're going to unlie all the way.
So
I mean, if you were lying about lying, you might as well just lie as hard as you possibly can.
That's true. Like lying about lying is like lying squared. But this really wasn't a lie. This was more of an accident. Like I didn't mean to do that. So
this whole podcast is an accident, James.
Did we do the what is your ideal video game adapt? We kind of just did that with it during the call-in section, so I'm going to leave that one alone. The problem with going through our inbox is that we get some, But it's sometimes hard to figure out, like, okay, what's a good one to do for the slot I have versus like, hey, this is a big long conversation. A lot of these are quite lengthy. We've been getting long emails lately, just like long shows.
Is it people waxing poetic?
Yeah, kinda, and that's fine. Like the long emails have a place, and the short emails have a place. All right.
I guess we just bring on emotions in the people, James.
Yeah, we do. GX, I will bring you in for the last call. I think I want to try to do 2 more. So I've got an email right here. This is from Reg McFly. Dear RFN, I'm giving you lots of dramatic reads today. Dear RFN, on listening to last week's podcast, a longtime listener offhandedly referenced, quote, despite the years of Wii U, unquote. I'm really fond of my Wii U, and I have nearly a complete PAL set of physical games. This is not as hard as it sounds. It was my first console where I had disposable income, and I really doubled down on it. There's absolutely no disputing that it is a complete bomb from a sales perspective without discussing the quality of the games. So let's lead me to my question. You go back in time to 2011. How do you repitch the Wii U? The quality of first-party titles is clear given how many were ported to Switch, but imagine if you had to manage the campaign of release. What do you show or sell? Assume you cannot change the name. J&J Dream Factory responses always appreciated. I gave you all some voice on that one.
Yeah, that was good. I probably wouldn't focus on doing on the TV functionality.
Yeah, there was an entire video about TV and an action figure they made. We didn't need that.
Yeah, and really that went nowhere.
It sure didn't. In fact, I think the first time I used it was when they said they were going to shut it down, and I live podcasted going through it and just laughing hysterically.
Yeah,
it never launched in most markets.
A lot of that functionality. Yeah, a lot of that functionality was just a complete waste.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, and that was kind of a thing at that time where everybody was like, the whole concept of having like a set-top box and being the center of your living room, that was a huge thing. Like just being a game console just wasn't enough anymore, even though it's been wildly popular since the mid 80s to be just a game console. All of a sudden that wasn't good enough.
The Xbox One is your all-in-one entertainment system. You can route your cable box through it. Which is wild.
Yeah.
I want to have to launch my Xbox to watch TV. That's great. That's a good use of energy resources.
Yeah. I never even really understood how that worked.
Like, so there was an HDMI in on the back of the Xbox One.
Yep.
And there was another. So basically, like, you could route another HDMI device into the Xbox and use it as like a pass through. Daisy chain it together like it's a parallel port controller from the 80s PC space. The TV button did some stuff, like it lets you, like use it as a TV remote and stuff. But yeah, it was such a dumb thing. I think for me, so we can't change the name, and I don't know that changing the name, people talk about the name like, oh god, the name was a catastrophe. But the reality of the situation, if you say that the device and the name are set in stone, the device itself to me is more of the problem, because ultimately the device is not an immediate successor to the Wii U. I don't think giving it a different name fixes that unless you wanted to call it Wii 2, and I just don't think that name sounds good. Like Wii U sounds fun. But like Wii 2, no, that just sounds like the 2 almost denatures the Wii part. Does that make sense? Like it's so sterile compared to the front of the name that it becomes this weird conglomeration of like very goofy start, very sterile end that I just don't think work well together. So then the question is, what can you do if the name is set and the product itself is set? And obviously I think launching with a better launch lineup would have helped. The reason I didn't buy a Wii U at the start was there weren't any games I wanted. Like, I ended up buying New Super Mario Brothers U because it was there. And then I went in the eShop and bought, like, a couple things that were there because they were there. Game and Wario, like, it was one of my choices. I bought the Nintendo Land one, so I had that. Like, the majority of my time with Wii U was I'm gonna play Nintendo Land, I guess, but that's got limited single player potential, and I'm gonna play Wii U single player because it doesn't support online. I mean, Mario U single player because it doesn't support online. Now we'd later find out why, because multiplayer and New Super Mario Brothers 2 sucks. But like, I feel like there had to be a better experience there at the start, especially because we just had New Super Mario Brothers 2 earlier that year. So what I would have done is I would have moved the Wii U. This is complicated. I would have tried to move the timeline for the Wii U completing its development up, but released it at the same time. Because what I would have liked to have had is obviously Zelda wasn't going to happen because Breath of the Wild literally came out the day the Wii U was finally put in the ground with the Switch launch. Day of the Switch launch. So that actually, didn't the Wii U one come out like a day later or something? Like, wasn't it actually a little bit later than the Switch launch? I feel like it was.
I don't recall.
Like 1 week. It was 1 week later. Yeah, so like just absolutely stabbed in the neck. And yes, I'm saying that launching with Mass Effect 3 while the PS3 is simultaneously getting Mass Effect Trilogy is a huge fucking miss. Like, and I get that was EA, but Nintendo was talking to EA. They should have said, look, shit or get off the pot. Don't give us Mass Effect 3 without Mass Effect Trilogy. Because EA had already done the work to make that game work. They could have done it, but EA chose not to. So they released this crippled version of Mass Effect on that system. So yeah, it's pointless at that point. Nobody was going to buy that version because that version was the worst version on the market and also the most expensive version on the market. So that's an issue. That's a problem. Twilight Princess was also delayed on GameCube coming off of Wii, yes. So I would have rearranged the development cycle of the console so that I had a better launch game. And to me, I think there's two candidates for the good launch game. And it's possible that for the first one, the idea just simply didn't exist yet. But, you know, we're playing Fantasyland where I've been hired to do a job that's important. So obviously we're already dealing with a reality that's not our own. I would have launched with, instead of New Super Mario Brothers U, I think that would have come later, if at all. I would have launched with Mario Maker. Because
like one of the things I was going to say was I don't think they really showed you why you should, like, the importance of the gamepad,
right,
or why you should care.
And that E3 demo, when it was just called Mario Maker, not Super Mario Maker, and the whole thing was basically like duct taped together, but it was basically just a concept idea. That was one of the most exciting things in their booth that year, and I think they had Smash and Splatoon. Like you walked in there and it's like, oh, this is wild. Like this like I can just, so like I made a level that was basically I used when you could pause it and see the path Mario took. I used that to make a bunch of near pixel perfect jumps on music blocks, and then turned around and handed the gamepad to TYP, and I'm like, good luck, buddy. And he's laughing, but also he's pretty much telling me, I don't remember his exact wording, but he's basically going like, oh, this sucks. Because I had made something truly awful. And like actual despicableness was involved in the production of that thing. But it instantly made the gamepad feel important. Because I could test it on the gamepad, stop it, make a change, resume, and never have to like do anything. It was all seamless. It all just flowed together. And so, like, to me, that was the most important game on Wii U from a standpoint of like, what cool things are we doing with this? And I think having that, and then having one other game that really showed the Wii U off, and it's hard to figure out what that would have been, because there aren't that many games that really showed the Wii U off. Like Xenoblade X does, but Xenoblade was not a known quantity at that point. So that really wouldn't have delivered. Like, if they could have advanced time and had Breath of the Wild 4 years sooner, sure, Wii U would have been a huge fucking success. But obviously that's not possible. So it's that and maybe one other game that features one of their Oh. Oh. Oh, I can solve this. Mario Kart 8 sold like an actual lot of units on Wii U. Let's look it up because I can, because it's still it's the top selling game on the platform. So I just go to the Nintendo investor site and have it tell me how many copies it sold. It sold a lot.
Yeah, it did.
Top selling title units, and it's loading. It's loading. It's loading. I'm doing 9 things on this PC, so that's probably not helping. Somebody in the chat's probably already told me how many it sold. 8 million or so. I believe that's accurate. It has sold on Wii U. New Super Mario Brothers U has sold 8.46 million copies. Excuse me, Mario Kart 8. 3D World sold 5.88. So I think the Mario Maker is only at 4. Only at 4. New Super Mario Brothers U sold 5.8, which is more. But I think for the standpoint of giving the system viability, New Super Mario Brothers coming in early and people actually getting to see what you can do with the gamepad, and Mario Kart 8 where you can honk the horn on the gamepad, as one of them being launch and one of them being like a month later, would have been like, I would say Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Brothers at launch. I mean, excuse me, Super Mario Brothers Maker at launch, and then like Mario Kart 8 2 months later, and then maybe something like Splatoon a few months after that. So you've put out 3 games that show what the gamepad is. All of them are in the top sellers for the system. And then you can drop New Super Mario Brothers U. Then you can drop your Mario Party. Then you can drop one of your Zelda remakes. Maybe having Wind Waker remake ready at the start of the console's lifespan, because they knew Breath of the Wild was, a long ways out. That might have been good, just so it's there at the start to pad that launch lineup, because that launch lineup sucked.
Yeah, it did. There just wasn't enough Nintendo in that launch lineup.
Right. And that way they could ice the rails till 3D World launches, or Xenoblade X launches. And I think they did Xenoblade X dirty. I think they should have promoted that game more, because I think it's really, really fucking good.
Yeah, that was still sort of in the time period when they didn't really have a lot of faith in that franchise.
No. So like there's stuff that I don't think it would have made this a Switch-like success. That wasn't possible. The form factor of the Wii U ultimately made that impossible. But I think they could have made it better. Cool.
They could have made it more enticing right from the start.
Yeah, and then it would have at least... Yeah, Mario Kart 8 had a 60% attach rate on Wii U.
Yeah. Because I think what happened was people saw that the launch lineup was lackluster. They decided to wait and see, and then they waited and they saw, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy one."
It's getting worse, not better.
Yes.
Like when we had that direct where it's like, here's a bunch of games that one of them is a spreadsheet, one of them is a picture, one of them is a video of a character who's not even in the game when it comes out. Not Xenoblade X. Like just nothing. That was the direct of nothing. After Fire Emblem Awakening, I would have absolutely tried to get a Fire Emblem game on Wii U at that point. Like anything. Just anything that was showing signs of success, I would try to make available on Wii U. But they didn't. Like they actually detrenched from the Wii U, and they basically let it languish while they tried to prepare for Switch. So yeah, maybe reorienting some of the games that did come out would have made more of a difference. But ultimately, I'm going to say something weird. I think the Switch failing was good. Because it forced them to do more prep. I mean, it's just the Wii U failing, because it forced them to do more prep work on Switch. And I don't know that they land on Switch if Wii U isn't a complete disaster. Because they revamped their branding, too. Like, it was more than just, we're going to change up the form factor of this thing, and we're going to combine our portable and handhelds. Like, they rethought what Nintendo's iconography was. Like, they burned everything to the ground. It was the end of the gray logo Nintendo. And they brought back the bright red logo, or the white text on red background. Like, that's almost a flashbang when it comes up on a screen.
Yeah, I think it also made them rethink a lot of things. I mean, obviously a failure of this magnitude will make any company do that, but I think with the Wii U, they obviously were invested in what they were doing there. In other
Right.
words, they thought it was a good idea. And I think they were probably taken aback by, well, wow, how far they missed the mark. But I think that they said, there's we're onto something here. We don't quite know what. And so it probably forced them to go back to the drawing board and actually really look and see why this thing failed and what people didn't like about it. Because obviously the dual screen paradigm worked with the DS and
Right.
with the 3DS, like people like that.
I almost wonder if they just overvalued that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like they
in the console space at least, right?
Yeah, because ultimately the Switch gets rid of it. Because you can't look at the Switch screen and look at your TV because the Switch dock is just a dock.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I almost wonder if they overvalued the dual screen nature and as a consequence had to come up with a technology that lets you have a screen remote. And we talked about it at the time, the technology in that thing for video streaming, especially at the time, is fucking magic. Like,
yeah, it's really good.
The fact it works at all, like it didn't work in my apartment because of radio interference, but the fact it worked at all is kind of wild. But they chose that particular path because of they valued the dual screen so much, and I think that ultimately was the mistake. So like if we could change the hardware, I think we have a lot more options, but we cannot.
Yeah, they seemed dead set on trying to replicate the dual screen in console hardware.
Yeah,
which sucks. And they're experimental in that way. Doesn't mean that everything's going to hit.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to go back to the calls real quick. Have we gotten? I know GX, you've got your request to call in. Does anybody else have a request besides GX? If not, we are going to bring GX in and we are going to wrap things up. Oh, PokePal has one. Okay, PokePal, I'm going to give you access to unmute yourself. Hold, please. All right, give me 1 second. Let me do some role maintenance stuff. I have to actually like set up the roles for people. So roles. You should now let Craig speak. I can't let Craig speak. Bookpal, you should be able to join, but you might have to exit and come back in. Craig did say now recording. We all heard it.
Hello, can you hear me?
You're very faint, caller. Can you turn down your radio and turn up your phone? I like that I only stick to this bit like 1/3 of the time.
I appreciate it though because I don't think everybody gets that joke. At this point.
You there?
Yeah.
Oh wow, this is rough.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me do something real quick. Let me see if I can boost your audio. I can, maybe. All right, can you try talking now?
Hello.
Oh, you're this is rough. It's like garbled.
Okay, I'll just hang up and let someone else call.
Oh wait. It's kind of clearing up. Do you have is it possible you're on the wrong microphone?
That's what it sounds like.
What was that?
I probably am. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Check your Discord settings because it sounds very much like you're ordering from like a fast food box. Oh, I hear rustling. Wait.
Okay, is this better?
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that's that. Yes, you were on the wrong mic. Hold on. Let me deboost you because I boosted you to 200%.
No, it wasn't that I was on the wrong mic. It was that my headset was backwards.
Oh, that will also cause trouble. This is wildly better. All right. Caller, introduce yourself and ask your question.
So I'm PokePal. I usually write in as Spencer for whatever reason. I don't know why I started doing that, but I just keep doing it. And I figured I'd just go with something I recently sent into RFN, but I figured both of the people who could really speak on it are here now, so you might as well just do it here.
Let's do it.
Unless you really think. Okay. So I have a bit of a business what if for you. What if Elon Musk, no doubt riding high on his success, quote unquote, running Twitter, somehow took over Nintendo?
And blowing up his launch pad. And raining dangerous ash down on a community nearby. Just genius. Big brain genius activity. Well, I think
absolutely brilliant.
So he'd immediately leverage it with debt, like just a unprecedented amounts. He'd buy the company and immediately dump the debt on the company, which is good. That's how you should run a business. You should definitely saddle it with junk. He would probably start complaining about the messages in some Nintendo games, but he'd be dumb about it and do it in a way that doesn't make any sense to anybody who has a functioning like frontal cortex. Because
there's a language barrier there that doesn't help.
Well, I mean, there's a language barrier when he's speaking in English too. Like, I think the problem we'd run into immediately is that it seems like he makes all of his decisions lately about getting props online from his like dedicated followers, not based on whether or not these decisions make sense. So, like the idea of we're gonna make verified an equal playing field for everybody. It's like, no, the premise of verified was that it wasn't. It was like yes, it avoided a lawsuit of people being impersonated, but also it gave an air of authenticity that Twitter had that no other social media platform did, because it was like this person in bright blue is like somebody who has meaningful opinions. And then verified just became this like status symbol. He was right about that. But what he fucked up is he's like, what if we just sell it? What if we sell it for a completely unreasonable price? What if we put our data API that gives us like value to the market? People can see what people are tweeting about, and then they can write about it and promote my service like by accident, effectively. What if I put that behind an insane and cost prohibitive like level of API costs? The problem is he doesn't actually fucking know anything. So this is the thing. This is the thing. This is the secret to Elon Musk. He's not an idiot. Like I don't want to say that. He's not the engineers that made SpaceX work. He's not the engineers that made Tesla work. He didn't even fucking found Tesla. He came in and invested in them early, but he's not a founder, even though he's called the founder, because I think one of the terms was he had to be called the founder. He's not the fucking founder of Tesla. He ultimately, yeah, the engineers behind the SpaceX program did a really amazing job getting a rocket launch that's reusable. And you could say like, well, he ideated that idea, but that idea's been around. Like that's not a new idea. He just helped put the money in off the PayPal stuff, which again, he didn't create PayPal. He was there, he had equity, and he made a bunch of money. He got equity in part because he was able to invest the money that he inherited because he grew up literally in South Africa. I believe his father owned a diamond mine or gemstone.
I think it was an emerald mine.
Emerald mine. Sorry, my mistake. That's
that's right.
He's not
to get it right. He's the autobiography I'm penning just includes all these details.
He's not a De Beer. Like I get that. So I remember growing up when my father would be like driving me somewhere and like a De Beers ad would come up. They had the current head of the family. So I grew up in South Africa in the diamond mines. And I'd be working with the miners. I'm like, you weren't working with the fucking miners. Your last name's De Beers.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'd show up with a beautiful stone, but it would look all dirty and rocked. But we would take it back to the lab, and I would see someone cut it into the finest diamonds in the world, and I was enraptured. And I knew this is the business I wanted to do forever. Son, you are inheriting a diamond mine in an incredibly corrupt economy that largely ran off the backs of native workers and putting them in hazardous situations. Of course, this is the business you want to be in. Jesus, it's the last leg of imperialism. Yeah, I want to give this up. This isn't for me. Like, this was a running joke that my father had with me growing up, where we would just come up with like horrific things he saw in the diamond mine. After the cave-in, where we trapped many of our miners, we found this beautiful diamond. So while their loss is our gain. It's like just fucked up shit that we would say to each other. And I was like 8. So this dark humor was coming out pretty early. Because those ads were just so gross. But ultimately, you look, South African emerald mine, I'm going to assume bad shit was happening, especially when we're talking about like the 80s, the 70s. And you should just, I'm not even going to get into the history of that. So the problem is, when you have a lot of success, it can affect you one of two ways. There are people who that it makes them like more hungry for more success, and there are people who it makes them go completely fucking insane. And it very rarely, like, people who get that successful are usually hyper competitive in some way, so it very rarely like satiates them. In fact, the people who get there are very difficult to satiate. Like, there's this thing about like, why are CEOs always so type A? Well, because that's the kind of person who gets into a CEO role. Like, I would never be made CEO of a company. It wouldn't work. I'm not the right temperament to manage that shit. So it just wouldn't go down. I think you see a little bit of that in Meta, where Zuckerberg refused to back off as CEO and put it over into a caretaker. And so, hey, John, did you see how much money Meta lost on their VR division?
I did not, but I'm sure it would be in the billions.
This quarter. So just for the last quarter.
Oh, okay. This quarter, then it would probably be in the hundreds of millions?
It was $4 billion.
Wow, that's impressive for a quarter.
Yeah. They made that division made about $300 million in revenue and lost $4 billion.
That is such a waste for something that nobody wants.
And as you recall, Meta has pivoted towards metaverse and VR and all that stuff. So I
mean, their Meta Horizons is terrible.
Yes.
So
that's why, like, having the technologist sitting in the CEO chair is bad. It's bad. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And so you need the ruthless asshole CEO to a certain degree to go like, hey, idiots, how did you lose $4 billion? What's wrong with you? Everybody here is fired. All of you. You're all gone. Like, sometimes, like, layoffs are bad, but sometimes a division needs to go. And when a division loses $4 billion in a quarter, that's a red flag. That division is not going to be successful. You will never turn that division around. You might be able to save some of the staff and put them in other divisions, but that division is haunted. There are ghosts in the walls. Cannot be saved. Needs to go. So that's the problem, is that if you succeed like that and you go from successes, I mean, this is why the Solar City thing is bad. Like, he basically dumps debt from one company onto another company he's running, which gets him sued. Or he comes up with the Boring Company, which is, it's funny, where he's just going to dig a trench underground. But it's like, yeah, digging underground is really expensive. And so coming up with technology to make it cheaper is cool. But digging underground is hard. And it's not what they're doing with it, with like Hyperloop. It's like, you want me to build you a tube the size of a car to go from Los Angeles to San Francisco? I'll just get the federal government to fund a railway line, which they're trying to do, but the state is causing them problems. It's like, there's faster ways to solve this that are more economical. It's like, this goes back to the whole, like, when Uber put up, like, it's Uber stop service, where it was like they would have a route and they'd pick you and a bunch of other people up to take them to one destination. It's a fucking bus, bro. You invented a bus. Buses are a thing. Like, there is this sort of like mentality of that. And so I think the problem is that mentality doesn't apply to Nintendo, because Nintendo wants to do weird shit. And they don't want to go after like weird get rich quick stuff. So I think there'd be an instant culture clash. And I think what we saw from Twitter, and John, you can jump in here if you disagree, I think he would just go fire all the executives.
Yeah, I think he would.
And and unlike a lot of companies, they set the tone there. Like, a lot.
Yeah, they do. And that's what I was just saying. I mean, it would be the most hostile of hostile takeovers if he bought Nintendo.
The Twitter one was incredibly hostile. Like, yeah, the investors cashed out because, I mean, they had this thing that was just losing money hand over fist. and didn't have a viable path to profitability. Now, Musk has not given it a viable path to profitability. He says the losses are down, but that's because they're not fucking paying rent on their office building, and they laid off a whole bunch of staff. Yeah, you're when you do those things, your costs are going to drop. Congrats, but that's not sustainable because eventually someone's going to kick you out of your fucking office, and the people you wrongfully terminated are going to sue you. And so all of those things factor into, like, yes, you can temporarily make your books look great, but then they're going to look like dog shit when you have to settle 1 million lawsuits. So that's a problem. That is a problem. Like, if you don't understand what problems are, I'm going to let you know that is a problem. So that won't work at Nintendo because the culture is important to the product they make. It is intrinsic in the product. Like they talk now, granted, when they talk about it, when they talk about bringing people on, we don't want to bring in necessarily people who love games. We want to bring in people with interests and then bring them into the culture. Some of that's just BSPR speak. Like it just is. It is what it is. That's not a problem. BSPR speak has a place in this world. But some of it's true. And it's a process that says we're going to take people in when they're not like highly committed, quick deliverers, high efficacy code, and we're going to let them grow into their role. Whereas in Twitter, they literally just went and looked at pull requests and saw who delivered the most code and then cut the bottom part of that. Hey, John, how many lines of code do you want to think I delivered in the last 6 months? My current role is lead engineer of a product team, and I'm acting as the solutions architect for a product vertical.
I don't know. Depends on how you define architect, but depends on
solution stuff. So
how
do we solve
Yeah,
this?
I mean, how much hands-on coding you're doing. I mean, if you're doing architecting and not doing hands-on coding, not a whole hell of a lot. Maybe I don't know, several thousand lines.
4.
There you go.
4 lines. So I would have been fired at Twitter. But the problem is, if I was gone, fucking calamities, because they'd be like, I don't understand how any of this works. And you need those people, and it's a very basic understanding of engineering. Like you need those people. Like when they sacked all the delivery managers, and the product owners, and it's like, well, now they cut it to like one product owner. I think they had like 30, and they cut it to like 1. It's like, well, that's not going to work. It doesn't work because teams need their product owners. Teams need their delivery managers. That just falls back on the engineers who aren't good at that shit. There's this weird, like his mentality is this weird, like everything's fungible, everything's replaceable, everything can be run more efficiently. We can get more out of people, and that we remember the stories of Miyamoto going to some of his team and telling them it's Mario time, and that meant no one was going home tonight. And that part Musk would have been fine with, but I imagine those people he brought in were like people he had been training, people who had been were in his, for lack of a better word, his cabinet. They were probably his right and left hand men. Like these were people that had earned his trust, and maybe not necessarily by delivering the most product, but by having like the keenest eye, or being able to see problems as they're popping up, or being able to squash things, or being able to deliver a prototype really fast. Like this was a core team that could be trusted to do things, and that meant they got hit with extra work, and that's not great. But that's a cultural thing that he would have absolutely obliterated if he took the company over. And ultimately, I think it would drown them. And it's not legal in a more or less sense for Nintendo to be acquired. Nintendo owns enough of their stock that you can't acquire them anyway. The company was evaluated originally when it went public, and they were told that you have X number of units of stock, and the amount they issued is not sufficient. The amount of it that they actually issued, not counting the amount they've since bought back, which is a lot, the amount they've issued is such that even if you had it, the amount the company still holds is more than 50%, significantly more. I don't know, John. What do you think? What's the prognosis? I guess you're thinking that it's going to be great. He's going to do a good job and run the company perfectly.
No, he tends to disregard culture in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Absolutely.
He very much has an attitude of if you're not writing code, you don't belong at this company. Which
if you're not burning extra hours and all that stuff, which
it's just a very reductive way of looking at things. I doubt that he would respect the culture at Nintendo. I don't think he would value it. He tends to look at just straight up efficiency.
Right.
Very much a tech bro sort of code will solve all of our problems.
Oh yeah.
Who cares about the human aspect of anything because we can just write code to make it all go away. Very much that sort of view on business. I mean, if you look what he's done at Twitter, I mean, I don't think it's really surprised anybody because, all of this stuff that Twitter was doing was frivolous and their code is garbage.
Right.
Just completely disregarding any historical context for anything that they've done. Not even really running Twitter like a business, running it more like his just like, personal playground.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the statement I made earlier where everything he did to get plaudits from this echo chamber that he had built around himself.
Yeah.
This sort of largely rightist political younger tech bro the NFT subset community that same group largely and for not entirely unpolitical reasons there is a laissez-fairness in his thoughts about how business should be run. And that's not uncommon for people who run multiple companies, especially companies who are constantly having themselves evaluated by the government. But that doesn't stop him from, injecting himself into a bunch of government contracts. So, what's good for me, not for thee stuff. But that kind of mentality attracts that same kind of grind set. Government is the anchor. Get rid of these regulations. I don't need banks. Tech bro.
Free speech absolutists.
Tech bro bullshitters who then try to sell you NFTs.
Free speech absolutist who then bans people from the platform and when they criticize him.
Or as happened recently, people who were promoting the Block the Blue campaign, he was giving them fucking Twitter verified.
Mm-hmm.
Just because petulance. There's a petulance to it all. That is.
Yes, absolutely. Was it Medium where somebody wrote an article criticizing him and they made it so that or was it Substack?
Yeah, you couldn't link to him anymore.
Those URLs could no longer be embedded in tweets. It's just
or they
silly.
They talked about getting rid of Linktree. Yeah, all that shit. It's stupid. It fundamentally undermines what people use Twitter for, which is to promote their content that they're putting elsewhere, because Twitter as a form is designed to be short. It is designed to give you excerpts. It is designed to have like some buzziness, not to be a long form place where you read content or watch video or listen to. That's why the RFN clip is always like 1 minute and 20 seconds. Like, I could go to full 2 minutes. If I pick the clip, it almost never goes the full 2 minutes. It's meant to be short. It's just enough to get you to click the link, which you should click the link. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the platform was being used for by creatives. Like, they weren't using it as the primary mechanism through which their content was to be observed, except for potentially, like, fan artists who drew fan art. Like, they actually did make good house on Twitter, but like that used to be for them. What's the I'm blanking on Tumblr. Yeah, it used to be the Tumblr space, but then Tumblr said no porn, and a lot of those fan artists draw saucy art. Now Tumblr's backed off from that, I think, since then. But yeah, it caused issues. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't think he would run it well.
No. I think he'd kill the company, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's. I mean, my long-running theory with Twitter is that he just wants to drive it to bankruptcy.
Yeah, Tumblr has been sold twice since then for less every time, which is impressive, significantly less. I think as the chairman of Nintendo, it would be just stupid Sega should buy Tumblr. Yes, Sega should buy Tumblr. That is correct. They can put Angry Birds on it. All right. Jex, I know you said you have one more. So if you want to rejoin the call.
Well, that had. I'm glad. I only really offered as like a a backup in case there was nobody else, and I was glad Pokepals had quite a lot of meat on it. So I really I've swerved,
okay,
and I really only have one question left. It should go pretty quick. John, what's the email address?
It's RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com. That is Radio Free Nintendo.
Yes, not
RFN at NintendoWorldReport.com.
Not anything.
I don't know what else you would call it.
Not anything related to political ideology of the early 20th century.
Nope.
I thought it was RFN at Nintendo Pirate Radio.
No, that's a different thing. We don't have control over that. All right, so that's going to do it for the call-in show this week. I want to thank everybody who called in with their questions and in the emails that we read. Again, that is rfn@nintendoReport.com. So let's talk, John. Let's talk schedule. This is normally where we would talk schedule with the rest of the crew, but they're not here. Guillaume's on a bus, apparently, a moving bus, so it's full of sofas. Greg is watching this round of the draft finish up. How many teams are in the NFL? I'm blanking.
It's 32.
32, right? So we're on the last pick. Oh, this is round. Oh, they're doing round 2? Oh, no, they're done. The draft is done. The draft is done. Okay. It's done for today. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were doing it again. I'm like, wait, what? This is round 2. Why is everybody still standing? Are they doing round 2? No, they're not doing round 2 right now. That'd be stupid. Anyway, so there is a problem with the schedule. So we were talking about doing Wind Waker next week. The Wind Waker Retroactive Part 2, which you can still send your comments. Put them in the Discord. You can put them on the talkback thread we have for it. You can email them to us, rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. That is rfn@nintendoworldreport.com, rfn@nintendoworldreport.com. Or you could just kind of kick back and enjoy the show with us. Like we're gonna record that. But the challenge we've got is, so I was doing some math last night, and I realized something. The episode that we're going to record for next week, so, and then the episode that we're going to record immediately after that, we are recording that episode on the 11th. So that would be right now. Wind Waker is on the 4th. So
yeah, I'm out next week, by the way. So
I think this pretty much settles the question then, because what I was going to say is on the 12th, Tears of the Kingdom comes out. And so we had this with the Switch. On the Switch launch / Breath of the Wild launch, we did a retroactive because we recorded it the day. Like, once we finished recording, I left to the midnight launch of Switch. I feel like putting the retroactive, because it's more timeless, as in that launch window with Switch, like or with Tears of the Kingdom, like at the same time, makes more sense than doing it next week and then releasing an episode that no one will hear. Because we're going to talk about Xenoblade at some point. But like once Breath of the Wild comes out, that's the show for the next couple weeks. We got to do Wind Waker because I finished playing it a month ago. So my thought is we do Wind Waker on the 11th. And now Guillaume and Greg aren't here to agree, but they stepped away, so that's their problem. And then next week is a regular-ish episode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then because that Wind Waker one ultimately is timeless. You can listen to it later. You can listen to it right then. It doesn't make a big difference. And then that also parlays us Zelda into Zelda. So that's too much Zelda, but that's okay. And okay. So that's the schedule that the rest of the cast ultimately voted for as a consequence of not being here. So next week will be a regular ish RFN episode. Guillaume will be returning, I believe, but I mean, I assume jet lag is going to be real. And we're going to do the episode or a regular episode, and then the subsequent week we will do Wind Waker. That episode will come out after Tears of the Kingdom is out, so you can listen to it while you're playing Tears of the Kingdom, I guess. And then, of course, the week after that, we will be giving our first look at Tears of the Kingdom. So next week's episode will have Xenoblade discussion in it because I am playing it right now. Hopefully, Greg is playing it as well. We might dismiss everybody else because I don't even know how you talk about that DLC without spoilers. So, yeah, that will cover us, and in fact, that will give us what we need to do and wrap this episode of Talk RFN with 3 exclamation points. I was your host, James Jones, as joined by my co-host, Mr. John Lindeman. John,
my pleasure.
Yep, it's always great to have you. And Greg, what is our music for this week? You're saying, oh, but James, Greg is not here to tell you what the music is. No, au contraire.
Blimey, James.
Did you just?
Our music is.
Did you just do like?
Sort of pseudo-Australian, I guess. I can't really do Greg. The thing is, I cannot do Greg's.
John,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
John's gone crocodile dummy over here.
Crocodile dumb D.
Oh my God! All right.
Oh, man.
So Greg actually, I've said this before. Greg is always on top of this. He sent us a recommended audio, and in fact, it's from MASB, who wrote us a question earlier. It says, picked out a request you can use closing meeting tonight. Feel free to go with something else if the episode takes you in a different direction. Best of luck. I guess he saw what we had planned. This is from MASB. It is from Radical Dreamers, which is the text adventure, or the text story that was originally a Satellaview product, I believe, that sits between the release of Chrono Cross and then the release of Chrono Trigger. And it was part of the Radical Dreamers collection that has Chrono Trigger and this in English for the first time. The name of the song is The Girl Who Stole the Star. I have not had a chance to listen to it yet, so I am very excited to hear that. And on that, next week will be a regular episode of RFN where John won't be here, so the Iron Man streak ends at 2.
Yep.
But
you know what I mean? Like one streak ends, another one starts, you know?
Guillaume will be back, Greg will be back, and we will do a regular episode, and we'll talk about this weird Xenoblade DLC. And then the next week will be the Wind Waker retroactive, and then between us recording it, honestly, probably while we're recording it, Tears of the Kingdom will come out, and then the week after that is going to be Tears of the Kingdom Blowout. So, thank you to those who were able to join us today. Thank you for those listening at home. We will see y'all next week. Bye, everybody.
Later.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so I didn't get to hear your clap. Stop.
It's there.
All right, so I've stopped the audio. Okay, everybody listening, thank you for joining us, and that is going to do it. Bye, everybody.